What's up, gentlemen? How y'all doing this evening? What's up, Alex? Dude, you get that job? You got that uh, fry cook job up at Mickey D's, flipping burgers. Just messing with you. Everybody starts down there, or starts with a entry level job. It's the nature of the beast. When America, we started getting starting to think we're special, or when we started to feel that way, and some jobs are beneath Americans. Like the spirit that the spirit that built this country, those people, no work was beneath them. They would going on there, Arceus. Yeah, people they would dig ditches. They didn't give a damn. Whatever they had to do to feed their kids, and we were that way until like the '60s, and all of a sudden we got too good for our own good. You might even say. Such bullshit. Like I don't know why we're actually gave our tacit endorsement of this bullshit way of being. It's like where we think we're too good for work. We would rather be a fucking mooch, some bum, than to work, even because that shit's beneath us. It's just ridiculous. And every different group of people makes up their own reason for why they're too good for such and such. Like black people will, oh, we're not, we wouldn't deign to do that kind of work. Like we're not picking cotton anymore. Could you imagine us picking cotton? Like, yeah, actually I can. You know, People pick cotton. Like, what the fuck? Like, try to make it seem like you're not a picking any. Come on now. Who are we fooling? Who are we trying to fool here? Pickaninnies. My grandfather, he used to call fingers cotton pickers. Get your cotton pickers off me. He would say, I remember he jumped on my ass one time because he was snoring and his head was back, and I walked up and held his fucking nose. My grandmother was like, "Don't do it. Don't do it." Like but she was like, the way she was saying it was like, "I fucking dare you to do it. I dare you to do it." So I did it, man. Dude, this fucking senior citizen chased me around the house. I couldn't fucking believe it. He was never in that kind of shape. My grandfather, he was into health, or into lifting weights, hitting the punching bag and shit. Man, he jumped out. Get your god, don't you ever put your goddamn cotton pickers on me again. He was chasing me around the fucking house, man. Literally. He was not fucking around with that shit. What's up, Goldie? He did not play when it came to that shit. And that wasn't the first time. I told you guys before where he tackled my ass, and I was like 9 years old because I fucking got slick at the mouth walking away. Man, it's crazy too because like how what a you're kind of a privilege. Like when you're a child, you're not grateful. You really don't understand all the effort. What's up, Hope? You really don't understand all the effort that it requires to give you the life you have. You kind of take it all for granted. You think that your parents, they just wake up in the morning and the shit they need to do just appears. Your clothes and your shoes and your food, it just appears. Well, I think everybody's like that to a degree. I mean, Americans. And my grandfather, he wasn't about that shit though. That shit wasn't happening. Didn't fucking play that game. And like it's like almost like an urban legend now in my on my dad's side of the family. He has six, or well, he has five sisters now, but he's had six sisters his whole life. And it was like an urban legend. They like talk about it. when I'm not there, or when I am there, they'll be ooh, what about when Justin did such and such? And I'm like, what the fuck, man? They're always bringing it up, and my dad has only sisters, and six of them too, so it can be kind of catty. I love my aunts though; they're kick ass, but it's just I guess my grandfather was that much of a hard ass. Nobody tried him, and I didn't see him till I was like 15. I knew him, I knew he was a hard ass, but I just, I never tried him like that again. No, after he fucking chased me. Like, yeah, I don't know it was funny though. It was good conversation for nowadays. Like it's funny. My family they laugh about it and shit. They just think it's hilarious because none of them would dare cross him. What's funny is my mom's dad. He was not like that at all. Not nearly as conservative or uptight. Like he was. I don't like the term emotionally intelligent. I think it's like just fucking gay. It's lame. But he was kind of that way. He didn't have a problem with his emotions. Like my dad, I could always tell he kind of like his emotions kind of scare him. Like, unless it's anger, he doesn't like it. Like at least it comes off that way. My mom's dad was not that way at all. He was the opposite. Like, but it's like a flip side of the coin of masculinity. Like my dad is like this just fucking alpha. My uh my mom's dad, he was like that too, but not, you know, he didn't have to prove, he didn't have to behave like that all the time. He could let his guard down with family and shit. But I just feel like it was two different types of like when you think of masculine archetypes, everybody you think of alpha, you think of somebody who's physically uh, you know, impressive, somebody that you wouldn't want to pick a fight with. But there's also uh, another archetype for masculinity, but it has nothing to do with physicality. It has everything to do with one's temperament, how you treat your subordinates, how you treat people that you get nothing out of or that you need the least. I mean, I think that kind of is a part of masculinity as well. Like I remember reading Ernest Hemingway. He was considered a man's man. He was into uh, charter fishing or big game fishing. He was into hunting. He went to Africa several times. I mean, he was very much into the machismo stuff. But he also, um, I feel like he kind of wrote about both sides because there's this one story that he wrote called the Macabre Affair, which it's just the word macabre. But it was about a guy who goes on safari, I think, with his wife, and he's like he thinks he's an alpha, or he tries to portray that, but he's the kind of guy that hits his subordinates, which I would imagine was more common than it is today. But somebody who hits their butler or hits their maid, hits somebody who can't fight back really, and that story was about what a piece of how pathetic that was, and how absolutely not masculine it is. And which actually he wrote about that a lot because there's another one. Sure, some of you guys have heard of the story "To Have and Have Not" or with Humphrey Bogart. That was about I think they called it the Gun Runners. It was another one of his short stories where uh, a big game fisherman, he beats up on a rummy. That's the captain of the boat's friend, beats up on this guy, and like beating up on a subordinate or somebody who can't defend himself, and so he's written about it in multiple different short stories. And I just it's something I noticed, that not only he must have been a pretty alpha guy, pretty masculine guy, because he had typical ideas as to how that, what that entailed. You don't punch down. That's child. It's not an admirable quality to punch down or to pick on people that that can't defend themselves, or take advantage of other people. It's just not masculine. And uh, Hemingway, he wrote about both kinds. The kind of the physically kind of impressive, the way one carries themselves, and then the more or less like the mental attitude of an admirable attitude. Because really, if something is not admirable, then it's not masculine. Because really masculine, at least in our language, masculine, that doesn't refer to negative things. That's a positive quality. It can't refer to something negative, or it's not masculine. That's not its definition. And so it kind of bothers me when people say, "Oh, toxic masculinity." It's like there's no such thing. That doesn't exist. What exists is, you know, shitty male qualities. Shitty. What if there is a negative version of masculine? Can't really think. Maybe I'm wrong. But I just don't see that word fitting, with toxic masculine. I wouldn't say, oh, hit punching down or hitting subordinates. That's not manly. Like, I just don't see that as being manly because, shitty toxic women do that. They punch down metaphorically or physically. They punch down, so that's not a uniquely manly thing to be doing. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point too there, Krieger. Yeah, like toxic leadership. Yeah, that doesn't really make much sense. Kind of right. Although one might say, Hitler was a toxic leader, but it's hard. Somebody could be a toxic person but be a good leader. I could see that being, like, because really leadership, it's like, are you being led to a place of prosperity? And really, what makes what is the leader getting you to where you're trying to go? Maybe how they do that is toxic, but I mean, really, if somebody is taking me where I want to go, I could put up with the toxicity. I mean, I feel like if you're trying to get somewhere and you're getting there, and the place you're trying to get to is actually of value, yeah, it's kind of it's some so there are some negative qualities that are acceptable. Like, what? Oh well, we're not going to do better. But I suppose it has more to do with the value of the person or the value of the service or whatever. But you certainly don't look. That's not an admirable quality to bully people. We think really low of those people. I mean, those people, we consider them. They're on the same level as chomos and shit. Just unacceptable to polite society. I mean, criminals don't even they won't even do that kind of stuff. And they, like, that's one of the weird things about criminality is even those guys, there's some crimes that you can commit that even criminals scoff at. Even criminals, kind of look down their nose at it. Child molesting, for one. That's like the one everybody knows. But that, or like hitting women, stealing from women, taking advantage of people that are weaker than you. I feel like even criminals, they look down upon that, because they're like, yeah, I may steal from people, but I don't do it from people I'm not doing it against people that are poorer than I am. That's really looked down upon. Taking advantage of people that are worse off than yourself. Like, it's not good to take advantage of anybody, but even criminals, they don't. they don't think it's okay to take advantage of somebody who's worse off than you. And I would imagine that's because that's their whole excuse for taking advantage of people. Oh, well, I'm worse off than they are, so I can take from them. Well, if you're taking from somebody who's worse off than you, that shit doesn't fly. You're not going to get away with that. So, I mean, I would imagine that's probably their shtick there. And I've heard people say shit like that before, like, you know, they kind of, it's acceptable in their class or their rung of society. It's acceptable to steal shit. So they like think nothing of it, like when they talk about it, they talk about it with no shame. And it's kind of like, bro, you shame, like you haven't really, when people are talking about stealing from other people, just, kind of matter of factly, it's kind of disgusting, really. The show's fixing to come on.
Good evening, everybody. You are
Ooh,
watching
that
America
timing.
First. My name is
I
Nicholas
just
J. Fuentes.
unmuted
We
it.
got a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Thursday. We have a lot to talk about, lots to get into. Big show. Day 20, our featured story. We are talking about day 20 of the U.S.-Israel war in Iran. Some big developments. We got some other stuff too. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it. I feel like I'm getting a little tired of the war in Iran. It's been 3 weeks. Tomorrow is going to be week number 3. We're entering week 4. And it looks like there's no end in sight. As we've been saying, the war just goes on and on. Initially, they said days, then weeks. Then they said a couple weeks, a few weeks, 4 weeks. Now they're saying it's going to be at least another month, it seems, based on what has been reported today. And our featured story tonight, the big development in the war is that the operation to open up the Strait of Hormuz has begun. Yes, the Trump administration has planned to reopen the Strait of Hormuz using the U.S. military. I don't know that anybody believes this is going to work, how this is even going to happen. And if it does, it seems like there is a high possibility that there will be a lot of American casualties. And so today, U.S. jet fighters and helicopters did a number of air raids on ships and targets on the land around the Strait of Hormuz. And the operation has begun. Once again, this is going to be extraordinarily difficult because the way that the Iranians have closed the strait is with missiles and drones, of which they have a virtually unlimited supply. They're making more of them all the time. They've got millions of them. They're launching hundreds of drones now every single day. And because the Strait of Hormuz is so narrow, it's only about 24 miles across at the narrowest point, Iran can launch a drone from hundreds of miles inland and with almost 100% accuracy hit a ship because that's just how narrow it is. So if the goal is to use the military to reopen the strait, you have to ask, how are we going to suppress every drone and every missile that is launched at the strait from anywhere inside of Iran? It doesn't even seem possible. And yet the operation has already begun today. The U.S. military says it is going to take weeks at the minimum to get to a point where we even consider escorting commercial ships through the strait using the U.S. military. Even then, they say we're not going to be able to guarantee 100% safe passage through the strait. So what are we doing? They admit, they say it's going to take another few weeks at the minimum, 3 weeks in, 3 more weeks to open up the strait. They say that is the minimum amount of time required to suppress drone and missile fire sufficiently. Whatever else they might be planning, and we'll get into that, before they're comfortable even trying in a minimal way. And that leads me to my next point. One of the parts of the operation they are considering is potentially invading with an amphibious assault force the islands in the actual Strait of Hormuz. So not necessarily invading the Iranian mainland, but invading some of the Iranian islands in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. military will be able to establish a beachhead, and they'll be able to deploy logistics and potentially anti-missile systems, other types of equipment, and that might be used as a springboard either for further attacks or for defense of shipping in the strait. To that end, the U.S. military is now sending close to 5,000 Marines on 3 ships. It's an amphibious assault force, and that seems to me to be an operation to actually try to invade on the land. And there's sort of a cruel irony here, or maybe something funny. Trump is always saying we're not going to put boots on the ground. He said we're open to it. I don't have the yips about it, but he has said there's no imminent operation to put boots on the ground. Nobody wants to say there's going to be boots on the ground. And so maybe this is like a technicality where they can land on an island so they can invade one of the islands in the strait, and then they can say, well, we never put boots on the ground in Iran's mainland. On Iran's mainland, we only put boots on the islands. And I'm not joking. I mean, this is in all the papers that are reporting about this. They say maybe that is one of the political considerations. If you invade the island, then you can say, well, we never put boots on the ground on the mainland, so that makes it different. Well, I don't see the difference at all, actually. Seems to come with basically the same risks in principle, and seems to be equally an escalation against Iran. Maybe marginally less, but I mean, that's roughly the same thing. So they're talking about invading Iran's islands with Marines. Those Marines will arrive in the Middle East next week. So again, this is the timeline. Think about it. The USS Gerald Ford is currently in Greece, where they are repairing the ship because the kitchen exploded or something. Number 1 superpower, by the way. Number 1 empire. Oh, there's a fire in the kitchen. We have to, Mayday, Mayday, send the carrier to an island. We need repairs immediately.
Doesn't make us look very confident.
No fire extinguishers. So the Gerald Ford is out of commission, they say, for at least a week. Marines, at least 4,500 Marines on 3 ships, are headed to the Middle East. They arrive in a little over a week. And the Pentagon is saying it's going to take at least a few weeks to reopen the strait. So when you put the timeline together, you understand this war is not ending anytime soon. It's going on at least another week when the Ford is done being repaired, when the Marines are deployed. And it seems that that is actually when the operation to open the strait really begins. And so then it's going to be another 2 or 3 or 4 more weeks of fighting. In the meantime, the supply of energy, oil, and gas in the world continues to be constrained. Price of crude oil went past $120 a barrel today and seems to be only getting worse since the United States and Israel escalated their attacks on Iran's energy infrastructure yesterday. So how long can this really go on? It's going to go on, it seems, for another 3 to 4 weeks. How much pressure will that put on the American economy? What will happen in the intervening time? A lot of issues here. Last development in the war with Iran, and this is a minor one, we got confirmation from Pete Hegseth today at a press conference that yes, indeed, this is real. The Pentagon is asking the White House to approve $200 billion for the war in Iran.
That's insane.
This was just a rumor yesterday. We covered this last night, and at the time it was a rumor that the Pentagon had a number of different appropriations requests, different versions of it, and one among them was a $200 billion package. We don't know the details. We don't know what's contained in it, but that is the price tag. Today, Pete Hegseth admitted, he said, well, hey, man, wars cost money. He said it costs money to fight the bad guys. By the way, don't you love our most professional, most serious, most presidential administration? We need money to fight the bad guys. I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of how remedial the vocabulary is in the White House. We need money to fight the bad guys. Is that what it is? Pete Hegseth says we
Fucking
need $200 billion. And get a load of this, it gets better. Earlier in the year, Trump was asked about budget reconciliation. This is the process whereby once per year, the Senate can pass an appropriations bill with a simple majority. Normally in the Senate, you need 60 votes, a 3/5 majority to pass anything. Once per year, there's an exception. You can pass a major piece of legislation with only 51 votes, only a simple majority. It's called budget reconciliation. Earlier in the year, Trump was asked, are you going to use budget reconciliation again in 2026? And if you are, what are you going to use it to get done? And Trump said, I'm not really interested in that. I'm not interested. We don't need it this year. We covered this 3, maybe 4 weeks ago. And I said, that's such a stupid thing to say because we should use every tool that is available to us to change policy. If you have it, why not use it? So it seemed that up until this point, we weren't even going to utilize the reconciliation process this year. Maybe you can see where this is going. Do you want to know how they're going to allocate $200 billion for our war in Iran? The budget reconciliation process. So the Republicans are going to bypass Democrat opposition using the reconciliation process, not to give money for infrastructure, not to give money for a middle-class tax cut, not for a border wall or deportations, anything like that. No, House Republicans, Senate Republicans are excited to use this process so that they can appropriate $200 billion to bomb Iran. And they're actually enthusiastic about it. They're saying this gives us the urgency to do something. And that follows a familiar pattern. We'll get into that later tonight. $200 billion for a war in Iran. It just gets better and better and better, doesn't it? Every single day, every single day.
It beggars
You
the
thought
fucking
it was good when we bombed Iran with Midnight Hammer. Fast forward to we're bombing Iran with Israel. And they say it'll go on for 4 days. We're in week number 3 at the tail end of it. Now they're telling us the price tag is $200 billion, which, by the way, that means the war in Iran, if they get that, it is already more expensive than the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, because they only did like
$188 billion for the war in Ukraine. They want $200 billion for Iran, and that is on top of the $30 billion that we've already spent. Okay? So the war in Iran is going to be something like 25%, 30% more expensive than the 4-year war in Ukraine, and we're not even at the end of week 3 yet. The things we do for Israel.
Seriously.
Mr. President, I've seen what you can do for Israel. Do that for us. There's no hope. That's not going to happen. But anyway, we'll talk all about that. We're also going to talk, if we have time tonight, about the new piece in the Wall Street Journal. We got some more confirmation. Not that we needed it. But there's an exclusive in the Wall Street Journal today which confirms that President Trump is done with mass deportations. If there were any doubts, if anybody was still in denial, and there are some people still in denial, now we have it verified. It is coming directly from the top. Trump says he doesn't even want to use the word mass deportations anymore. He says, I think people don't like that. So let's stop saying mass deportation. Let's start saying criminals. They're also saying, now that Kristi Noem is out at DHS and they got a new secretary of DHS, they're saying this is an opportunity to change all the policies as well. So we talked about this last Monday when the House Republicans had their retreat in southern Florida and they made the determination that they were going to stop talking about it. Now they're saying, since Noem is out, the new secretary of DHS is going to have a much lighter touch. And he's actually changing all the policies. So, for example, they're not going to arrest illegals in their homes without a warrant. They're not going to be conducting these huge operations in cities like they did in Chicago and Minneapolis and LA. He says they're going to cooperate with local and municipal governments instead of being adversarial. He says his mission is to keep ICE out of the news. Well, you know how you keep ICE out of the news? You don't deport anybody. That's the only way you keep ICE out of the news. And yet I still see people coping. They're saying, yeah, but the Trump administration is doing self-deportations. They're going to stop illegals from having a bank account. Are they? Okay, sure. Yeah, it's always something like that, right? Isn't it? Every day, every week, month, you get the real story, which is that's not happening. The deportations are over. They decided it's too unpopular. But then you always have this contingent on Twitter that says, yeah, but any day now, they're going to do E-Verify. Any day now, they're going to ban illegals from having a bank account, from having, I don't know, from ordering DoorDash. And it's always like 5-dimensional chess. What we wanted was every illegal alien kicked out of the country, like physically kicked in the ass and flying over the border back to Mexico. That's what we voted for. When Trump campaigned, he didn't say, we're going to have net negative migration using the community survey from the... That wasn't on the sign. That wasn't in the commercial. Trump said mass deportations. It was fucking border wall. I think the F word was in it at one point, wasn't it? It was real, tall, powerful, physical, 30-foot concrete border wall. And they're all going back. We're literally going to put them in cannons and shoot them back to Mexico. Weren't they literally saying that? And now they're saying, and now that it's not happening, it's always like some 5-dimensional chess. It's like, well, you see, what Trump is doing is he's not going to let illegals buy Sprite using their Snap cards, and that's going to make them reconsider living here. It's like, what are you talking about? They need to be physically removed by big policemen, like big, giant policemen need to physically remove them at the end of the barrel of a gun. And people go, so Trump is going to close their bank accounts, and then, what are you talking about? Anyway, we'll get into that as well if we have time. It's going to be a good show. Before we do, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. Check out our merch store at Fuentes.store. But you might want to wait a little bit because we have a big spring lineup. I believe it's coming out this Monday. So stay tuned. We have our brand new spring collection, little spring seasonal collection. I think you're going to like it. Some people said that our merch for Christmas was too generic. That's what we were going for, okay? It was a generational run. We had all these normies watching the show, and so we wanted to sell the normies a shirt that said, like, America first, okay? It was intentional. Some people said, it's too generic. Yeah, well, you should see the people that love the show. They're total normgroids, okay? They're total groids. They don't know anything. This is coworker reels. You're watching coworker reels right now, so they're not ready for that. But in the springtime, you know, we're switching it up a little bit, and I think you're going to be pleased with it. We have a big, new, very fresh collection coming out next week. That's going to be Fuentes.store. If you want to support the show, subscribe at AmericaFirst.plus. $15 a month to get access to the whole archive, every episode of the show. It's almost like 2,000 episodes at this point. And it goes back 10 years. It's crazy all the things I've covered over the years. COVID and the Trump election and BLM and the vax mandates. It's like there's a lot of stuff there. Every debate stream, commentary stream, collaboration, it's all there. And for $100 a month, you get to be in the exclusive group chat with me. And I'm hanging out in there, but I try. I really try. It's, you know what I'm finding? Can I just be real for a sec? Can I be real? It's getting so hard to find people that I really enjoy talking to, because I really like talking to people that are smart and funny. I like to, here's like the Groyper's dilemma. Can I tell you the Groyper dilemma? It's like normies are too blue-pilled and liberal and retarded to really ever be friends with. You know, because with an actual turbo normie, they still don't want to be racist, and they don't really engage with politics, and they like sports a little bit too much, and they're just a little bit insufferable. They're pussy whipped with their girlfriends. There's always like something going on. And so you need to be able to groip out. But then on the flip side, if you hang out with all groipers, a lot of them are complete chuds. They're like trad Christians, or they're nat sock LARPers. They can't watch a movie without like verbally stimming constantly, saying like, that's blue pill, that guy's black. And I can't hang out with that either. I can't do that either. You know, you want to go on vacation and people go, I want to tour all the cathedrals when we go there. It's like, really? I want to get food. So I feel like as I get older, it's so difficult to meet people and make friends, because I'm looking for people that are smart and funny. They need to be like normie enough that they're not shutting out all the time. They're not totally ridiculous chuds. But also they need to be chudly enough that they're not like,
Chudley.
I don't know, calling you racist all the time or cringing when you say the N-word or whatever. So it's a little difficult. And so I'm hanging out in the group chat, and it's just a lot of chuds. I'll say that much. It's a lot of chuds. and I go in the group chat and I'm like, guys, let's just be normal. Can we just be normal? I still see myself as a normal person. I know that sounds insane given what I am, but I still see myself as a normal person. I can meet somebody and not shut out about politics in the first 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Anyway. But whatever, that's my life. That's just me. Okay, and that's just me. That's on nigga. That's on being a nigga, you know. But hey, America First Plus, I'm trying. I'm trying to make friends in the group chat. I'm hanging out. We're trying to make it work. Otherwise, I'm dropping bonus content in there all the time. A lot of good stuff in there. A lot of insider baseball. That's America First Plus. Be sure to check it out. Okay, with that, we're going to dive in. We're going to get into the show. And our first story, we'll talk about these mass deportations. And I'll be a little bit brief because I know we're maybe beating a dead horse here a little bit. I'm kind of getting that feeling. But it just needs to be said again, because a lot of people are really in denial about this. I don't know if that's you. I don't know who's watching this. But there's a lot of people that really seem to be under the impression that there's a deportation policy going on. And I'm sorry to tell you, it's just not. It's dead. It's over. It isn't happening. And the latest on this front, the reason we're covering it is because of this big exclusive from the Wall Street Journal, literally hot off the presses. This came out a few hours ago, this evening. And they have actually confirmed that it goes all the way up to the top. President Trump himself is now saying mass deportations are over. So it's not coming from Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. It's not coming from James Blair, her deputy. It's not coming from the other forces, the bad advisors, the bad personnel. No, we now have it confirmed 100% that mass deportations have not only been shut down, they have been shut down by Trump. And they have been shut down because Trump believes they are too unpopular. Trump is under the impression that mass deportations, even the phrase, is so unpopular that if they keep going, they're going to get killed in the midterms. He blames that. He thinks that is the reason they're going to lose. So he is telling his personnel in DHS, he's telling Susie Wiles, telling House Republicans, stop saying those words. He's saying instead, use the word criminal. We're deporting criminals. And they're also changing all the policies. As you know, the Secretary of DHS, Kristi Noem, was recently let go. She was fired. And she's got a ton of problems. Part of why she was fired is because she might be going to jail with her alleged boyfriend, her alleged paramour, Corey Lewandowski, because the two of them are in some very deep crap over some of these contracts that DHS is giving out. And this is covered extensively also in the Journal. So partly they're fired for that reason, but also Kristi Noem and a lot of people in DHS are being flushed out because they want to reset the policies. The new Secretary of DHS is now going to reverse many of the mass deportation policies. For example, there's two policies in particular they're getting rid of. One, some of the biggest boost to the deportation numbers is coming from these big operations that are targeting Democrat cities. So you might recall the most recent operation was in Minneapolis. I forget the name of it. But that is when you had thousands of Border Patrol and ICE. That is what catalyzed the two protesters that died and the protests and the riots. That was a targeted operation when they surged law enforcement to Minneapolis and they started doing big raids and big patrols. That was boosting the deportation numbers. That's done now. That's over. So they did operations like that in Minneapolis, in Chicago, in LA, in New York. Under the new Secretary of DHS, Markwayne Mullins, he actually said, those are canceled. You're not getting any more of those. That's number one. Number two, there was a secretive policy in the DHS where ICE was making arrests inside private domiciles without getting a warrant from a judge. And there's questions about the constitutionality of that, legality of that. That's a big source of protest from the left, from the Democrats. Mullins says that's finished too. We're not going to be raiding houses without a warrant anymore. By the way, that also happens to be one of the demands of Chuck Schumer. That's why the Democrats have shut down the government partially and why they've defunded DHS, because among other things, they want ICE to stop the warrantless arrests inside private residences. So this is a stand-down order. The mass deportations, they're not running on them. They're not saying the words anymore. And
You know, what I would like to know is how in the hell they're trying to, oh, we don't want them to go into people's homes without a warrant anymore. If that isn't illegal now, then obviously it's not a transgression against our rights in the Constitution. Obviously there's a carve out, because why would for 250 years it be acceptable to raid somebody's house to get illegals if it wasn't acceptable? Like, now they're just trying to narrow the rules and cinch the noose tighter. It's disgusting.
policy is effectively dead. They're done. Whereas at one point they were maximizing deportations, now they're trying to have them plateau. Now they're trying to moderate the deportations as much as possible. They've changed the personnel, they've changed the policy, and now you're getting something different. And this is the story from the Journal. It says, quote, President Trump is seeking to lower the profile of his mass deportation effort and has directed his top advisors to adopt a new approach on one of his central campaign promises. In conversations with top advisors and his wife Melania, Trump has become convinced that some of his administration's deportation policies have gone too far.
Right back. Gotta use it back.
They went too far. Deporting 230,000 people is just too far. Biden let in 10 million people. He was letting in 2.5 million per year, but removing 10% of that total, it's too far. Guys, this isn't us. We have to stop. This is too many. He says it's gone too far. And Trump believes that voters don't like the term mass deportation. Really? Well, you know, It would have been nice to know that when you ran on that 2 years ago. Really? So Trump ran on mass deportations in 24. In 26, he says, I don't think voters like that. I don't think voters like Are you kidding me? Seriously? The promises you ran on in 24, you are halfway through your term, and now you say, I don't think the voters like that. That's how you won. The voters elected you to do that. That's what you were saying when you won the popular vote and the Electoral College and the House and the Senate. Now he's decided, well, I don't think the voters like that. Well, that would have been good to know. Maybe there should have been some transparency at the beginning or, before the administration started. He says, the voters don't like it. Great. Awesome. Loving it. The president has told them he wants to see more attention on arresting the bad guys and less chaos in American cities. The bad guys. It's like when Pete Hegseth says, we need $200 billion to fight the bad guys. Yeah, we gotta, no, we don't want to deport every illegal alien. We want to stop the bad guys. Right. The article goes on. It says the desire for an immigration reset is being driven by Trump's White House chief of staff, Susie Wiles, who believes the president's immigration team has turned one of his marquee issues into more of a challenging issue ahead of the midterms. It's a little challenging. As a result, the administration is attempting to change not only how it talks about the issue, but also what enforcement looks like on the ground. Great. So it's thorough. The shift has been spearheaded by White House border czar Tom Homan since he took over ICE operations in Minneapolis. ICE leadership isn't moving forward for now with those high-profile operations like the ones it previously conducted in big blue cities like Chicago, D.C., and Minneapolis. Arrests of immigrants have ticked down to roughly 1,200 a day from more than 1,500 a day when ICE was running its unprecedented operation in Minnesota. And by the way, it's lower than that. So according to the Journal, they say it's 1,200 arrests per day. I talk to people in government. They tell me the rolling 7-day daily average is 900. The rolling daily average number of arrests is 900. So quick math. If you arrest 1,000 per day, that's 365,000 per year. Out of all the people that get arrested, not all of them get deported. So if you're arresting 900 per day, the very highest number of deportations is 365,000. It's not going to be that. So we're talking maybe 300,000, maybe fewer than that. We're on track, in other words, for roughly the same or less deportations, fewer deportations than in 2025, if that's the rolling 7-day average, which is what I've been informed it is. Trump's advisors view the firing of DHS Secretary Kristi Noem as a prime moment for a reset. Senator Markwayne Mullin, the president's pick to succeed Noem, promised to reverse several of her ICE directives. Great, including one policy giving officers permission to force entry into immigrants' private homes without a criminal warrant signed by a judge. Mullin said, quote, "My goal in 6 months is that we're not in the lead story every day." Trump has complained to advisors in recent days about bad headlines the administration received under Noem's tenure, and has asked aides if they were aware of her unusual contract approval process. On the campaign trail, Trump suggested he would deport as many as 20 million people. No, not going to happen. So when Trump ran in 2024, the slogan was mass deportations. We're going to physically remove 20 million people. It will be the largest deportation effort in American history. He said, remember Operation Wetback under Eisenhower? We're going to deport 20 million people like that. Here we are, once again, it's only a year and a few months in. So he's inaugurated late January 25. It is March 26. It's a year and 2 months The first year, they deported almost nobody. They deported something like 230 to 360,000 people is roughly the numbers. And even if you isolate interior removals, that is still fewer removals than Obama's first year in office in 2009. Okay? They said that is okay and that's justifiable because we need more funding, we need more detention space, we need more personnel, they need more training. And so that's why the big beautiful bill last year authorized something like $200 billion for Homeland Security. And nearly $100 billion of that is going to ICE. And a lot of that is going to the wall and detention facilities, all the things they said they needed. And they hired over 10,000 ICE agents, and they're buying the land and the facilities. And now that they've got all the resources, now they're telling us, well, we're just not going to do it. We're not going to say mass deportations. We're not going to do mass deportations. Stephen Miller was shooting for 1 million per year, was his target. Now they're going to get, if you're lucky, maybe a third of that, maybe a quarter of that. They said 20 million, which would have been 5 million per year. Now you're going to get maybe 250,000 per year. So you're getting 20 times less. Literally, you're getting 20 times less than what they promised. They're changing the slogan, not even in the middle, in the first year, and now it's over. And Trump was convinced to do this because Susie Wiles told him it's unpopular. Now, here's what really happened, okay? And I can say this with some authority because I predicted it. I told you this is exactly how it would play out, which is that you're going to try to deport all these people. Liberals are going to freak out. The media is going to shine a spotlight on it, and they're going to cast it in a very negative light. And what this is going to do is generate bad press, bad publicity, and low approval ratings. It's those two things. And if you know anything about Trump, know this. Trump, because he's an egomaniac, he is absolutely allergic to both of those things. He hates bad press. He hates bad headlines. He hates low approval ratings.
I hate bullshit. I really do. I hate bullshit. But you know what? I gotta wade through the shit knee deep every fucking day of my life. Why does this guy get the fuck... Like, we don't give a shit that you don't like losing and this and that. Like, and not only that, he's a fucking choke artist. It's like, bro, all we give a shit about is results, man. This guy can't even fucking... Like, he's really turned out to be a bit of a dope, man. Like, because with Iran, it's just... And that shit is on display. His shortcomings. Ugh.
And so this was inevitable that it would play out this way. It was just inevitable because if you are going to do a massive deportation effort, it's not going to go unnoticed. And the Democrat city machines, these political...
That's not true because Mark Carney is doing mass deportations in Canada right now, and it's unnoticed. You don't hear a peep about it.
Machines in Chicago, New York, LA, they're going to fight it tooth and nail with their activists, with the media, with the entertainment industry, all the above. And it's going to generate a lot of controversy. It's going to be very contentious, and that's going to drive negative media. Negative media begets low approval, low favorability. And so it was always a question of, if you're going to do this, you need to have the political will to withstand that pressure. That was really the question. If you wanted to accurately predict, will mass deportations happen, you had to really ask the question, if they try, if they marshal the resources to do it, will they then be able to withstand the inevitable pressure which will come as a result? And that's a question about Trump as a man. And this is why in 2024, I said, you're not going to get it, because Trump is not going to stick it out. He's going to get those bad headlines. He's going to get the lower approval ratings. And the second that happens, he's going to pick up the phone and he's going to call Stephen Miller and he's going to shut it down. And do you want to know why I knew that would be the case? Because it already happened. That already happened. And it happens with everything. It literally happens with COVID. It happened with BLM. It happened with this in the first term. And I've told this story a million times, but this is the thing. People that got red pilled after COVID, they just weren't there. They didn't watch it. The history has either been forgotten or rewritten. But I was actually there up close and personal. I had friends in the admin in 2018. And that is precisely how it went down in the first term, which is that they started to try to build the wall. They started to try to deport a lot of people. You might remember they had that family separation policy. That's how these huge caravans of illegals from the Northern Triangle were getting in. All these illegals would come to the border with an unaccompanied minor. It wasn't always a family member, or a child, and their child, son, daughter, their nephew, cousin.
If the people
frequently they were
it.
strangers.
Yeah.
But if an illegal alien had an unaccompanied minor with them, because the minors couldn't be detained in the same space as the adults, they would catch those people and release them. Those people would surrender at a port of entry with their minor in tow. And because the illegal and the minor cannot be detained in the same facility, they'd be picked up and they'd be sent out into the country. So Trump had a family separation policy where the minors were detained separately from the adults. And that allowed them to be detained indefinitely at the border. And so they weren't caught and released. Well, that's where the story about kids in cages started, because they said the Trump administration is imprisoning children in cages like the Holocaust. And they destroyed Trump with that in 2018 in the midterm election. They said it's kids in cages, concentration camps. They did it at the Oscars, at the Grammys, just like they did this year. And I have it on authority from people in the admin that it went down the same way. Trump picked up the phone and said, Stephen Miller, we got to stop. In the previous administration, it was Christian Nielsen, I think was the name, so long ago. But Trump picked up the phone 10 years ago, 8 years ago, and said, we're getting killed. They're talking about kids in cages, and they ended the policy. They reversed the policy. That's exactly what they're doing right now. And that's because that's who Trump is. And ultimately, that is who you have to blame, because I can already see what is happening. There's sort of like two different camps of denialists. And there's one camp that just insists this is not happening. Let's be very honest. Mass deportations, at this point, you can say it was a lie. It was a lie. It was a scam. It was a fraud. Trump said we were going to have 20 million deportations. We're not getting anything close to that. It's not happening. But there are a lot of people that are in denial, and they will just believe anything. So they're coping about the retreat from Minneapolis. They're coping about the self-deportation numbers, inflating those numbers, using the community survey and some data artifacts to overestimate it by an order of magnitude. They're just simply in denial. They still think that someday, one day, mass deportations are going to happen. Like, they just don't live in reality. But then there's another camp of denialists that say it's not Trump's fault. They say it's his advisors, it's his personnel, it's all these people around him that are failing him. If only he had the right people. And here's the irony. Maybe it's not ironic, but here's why that's not true. Unlike the first term, that is totally not true in the second term. Stephen Miller has way more power. He's the deputy chief of staff. You have a lot of really good people in Border Patrol and in DHS and in ICE. And you even have people in the administration that are actually reaching out to outside groups. They spun up this website. It's called Mass Deportation Coalition, something like that. I don't know the actual URL. But if you look this up, Coalition for Mass Deportations, there is this outside group of nonprofits and activist groups. They're begging the Trump administration to follow through. They're trying to lean on the administration. And there are actually a lot of people in the administration who are working with that group. And they're pleading with them, saying, please criticize Trump. Please put pressure on Trump, because they can't do it from the inside. So, ironically, in the first term, you could make the argument and say, yeah, well, Trump has all these bad people. They don't want to see the deportations happen. They're disobeying Trump. They're giving him bad advice, whatever. In the second term, it's the opposite. No, you have a lot of good people giving Trump advice. You have a lot of good people in DHS. You have a lot of good personnel. They want to see it happen. They are running into the obstacle of Trump himself. If it were up to them, it would be happening, but it's up to Trump. And so now we sort of solved for X. Who was the problem? It was always Trump. It was never the personnel. It was always Trump. And you want to know why? Because Trump always had the power. Trump appoints the personnel. Trump chooses the advisors. Trump has the discretion to listen to one.
The buck stops with the president because he's basically a king. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. Basically, in the whole world, he can pretty much do whatever he wants. So there's no excuse like, oh, I couldn't do it. I was constrained by my position. Oh, I was constrained by this, that. No, motherfucker. You're like the most powerful man on the fucking planet. You're as close to a god emperor that has ever existed, basically. You know, at least for the modern world. You have no fucking excuses, jackass. Like, when are you gonna wake up? Or if and the people that don't realize that, it's like, bro, this guy can do whatever he wants, and he's not going for another election. So there are no excuses. The buck stops with this piece of shit, this fucking jerk off in his fucking $2,000-$3,000 suits. He's a stuffed suit. He's fucking pathetic, worthless.
And not another. He does it all the time. Case in point, Brooke Rollins is the Secretary of Agriculture. So she represents the big agriculture interest. And big agriculture loves illegal immigration because they employ low-skilled illegal aliens on the farms. Consequently, Brooke Rollins doesn't want to see a ton of illegal migrant labor deported because she, in a sense, is captured by the industry that she's supposed to administrate, that she's supposed to regulate. So Brooke Rollins is against deportations. She's against job site raids. She's in favor of expanding visas for migrant workers. Kristi Noem, on the other hand, well, as Secretary of DHS, Homeland Security, her job, her mandate is to deport as many people as possible. And Stephen Miller in the White House, as the Deputy Chief of Staff, he is trying to work with Kristi Noem to get these deportations up, and he's encouraging job site raids and getting the migrant farm workers out and raiding a meat processing plant in Nebraska and a Hyundai plant in Georgia and so on. Well, you see that in the court of Trump, there's two different people with two different agendas, and they're going to have different advice. So Kristi Noem is going to go to Trump and say, we want to do all the deportations. And Brooke Rollins is going to go to Trump and say, we want more visas and fewer deportations. Well, who does Trump listen to? He's got a better relationship with Brooke Rollins. She was in the first admin. She ran AFPI, America First Policy Institute, which is the official Trump think tank after Trump left office. And Trump actually sidelined Project 2025 at Heritage, which was good, to prioritize AFPI because those are his people. And so it's like in the first term, everybody said, oh, it's the personnel, it's the advisors, it's everybody else. We need to put the right people in front of Trump. But Trump consistently chooses all the wrong people and consistently makes all the wrong decisions. In 2024, he had an option, AFPI or Project 2025. He chose AFPI. With regard to deportations, he had a choice, Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem or Brooke Rollins and Susie Wiles. He chose Brooke Rollins and Susie Wiles. And ultimately, the decision came down to the fact that he didn't want the bad press. What you need to understand about Trump is that his dream is to be beloved by New York City. He wants the New York Times to love him. He wants CNN to love him. Anyone that knows Trump is nodding their head right now. And I'm sure there are people watching the show that know Trump because Trump is like a girl. Every day he's on the phone all day, kicking his feet and giggling. I'm not making this up, calling people for hours and hours and hours. This is the greatest economy. I'm the greatest president, blah, blah. Anyone who knows Trump and talks to him knows this is true. His dream is the approval and the validation of the New York Times, of New York City. He wants to be beloved. And so if you're doing something unpopular with the media or the entertainment industry, the left, the masses, Trump is never gonna follow through because he doesn't want to upset those people. And so I said in 2024, you're not gonna get mass deportations because Trump is gonna cuck, because Trump wants to be loved by the media and they're gonna hate this. And because Trump ultimately chose Brooke Rollins over Project 2025. He chose Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles over Hope Hicks and John McEntee, let's say. He chose the disloyal personnel that threw him under the bus after January 6th over the good personnel that tried to salvage his White House in 2020. So I knew based on the personnel choices, I knew based on his temperament that he had not changed at all. And by that, I mean not for the better, that we were going to get the exact same thing and the exact same story. And this is how Trump has been conditioned over time. I want you to notice something also. In 2024, there was so much fanfare around Trump, you almost forget how it was in the first campaign. In 2016, everybody hated Trump. The media hated Trump. All the institutions hated Trump. The Republican Party hated Trump. Everybody hated Trump. And why is that? Because in 2016, Trump was actually a radical. Trump was actually an insurgent force. So who didn't like him? The deep state, the established.
Our ruling class didn't like him. They didn't think he was one of them. Well, they learned that they were wrong, that he was just like them. He was no different. And the ruling class, that includes the media, that includes the colleges, academia. Don't get it twisted. Don't forget that these are the same fucking people. They all go to college. They all fucking, scratch each other's backs. And the media, they're in the job of keeping these sons of bitches in power and getting us to go along with their machinations. Simple as that. Media is just their mouthpiece. It's just how they get us to go along with their bullshit.
The institutions, that was the nucleus of Trumpism. There was actually a great article in The Spectator by Christopher Caldwell, and he said this, and it's brilliant. He said that the actual nucleus of Trumpism is the idea of the deep state, and that Trump is this democratic populist force against those institutions. And so in 2016, that's how it felt. It was this populist wave, the people and Trump at the front of it against the establishment, the institutions, the deep state. And all of these institutions are very incestuous. It's the permanent bureaucracy in Washington. It's the lobbyists, the consultants, the super PACs. But it's also the Ivy Leagues and academia and big law. It's also Wall Street and the asset managers and private equity. And it's also the entertainment industry, Hollywood and the mainstream media. It's also Silicon Valley. At that time, it was big tech. So it was all of the institutions, all of the powerful, the true deep state, holistically, against Trump. But what you saw in 2024 is that all the institutions actually acquiesced to Trump. Did you notice?
Yeah, they all go in.
Again, this gets back to a lot of people just weren't there for the original victory. In 2016, it was like us against the world.
And he would call
and
out
all the media coverage was negative, and they were ripping him apart every day. And the party was always trying basically to sabotage him, his own party. In 2024, different story. Who was at the inauguration? Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, OpenAI, Elon Musk. They were all there. Mark Zuckerberg didn't even put any money into this election. He put $300 million against Trump in 2020. And Tim Mellon donated $200 million to Trump. And Elon Musk donated $300 million to Trump. And the Israel lobby donated to Trump. And so did Ken Griffin from Citadel. And so did Andreessen Horowitz. And if you looked, whereas in 2016, the small dollar contributions were 60% of Trump's fundraising, in 2024, it was about 30%. So it flipped. And they've conditioned Trump to do the things that they want him to do. And what they want him to do is to keep the flow of cheap labor, cheap skilled labor, cheap unskilled labor. What they want him to do is to bomb Iran, keep the weapons flowing into Ukraine. They want him to intervene in the Congo for the minerals. They want him to deregulate AI. They want their corporate tax cut in the big, beautiful bill. They have conditioned him because Trump wants to be liked. He wants the approval of the establishment. And this is why they've effectively stood down. And they condition him by allowing him to take the path of least resistance and never fight those battles. And everybody that's making excuses for him, you need to realize we elected him to fight those battles. We elected him to be hated by the Israel lobby, to be hated by Wall Street, to be hated by the multinational corporations, to be hated by the asset managers. We elected him to be hated by those people and to fight those people and ultimately to defeat them. Now it's the opposite. Now he's fighting against his own people to protect them. And this is what is so sick about this influencer cadre that is constantly trying to tell you that everything's on the up and up. Because while Trump opened up the floodgates for more migrant workers on farms, more H-1Bs, more foreign student visas for the universities, while Trump says he's okay with home prices going up indefinitely, he says we want housing to be more expensive than ever because we're protecting the people that own them. And Trump is celebrating the stock market rising. He's cutting the corporate tax rates and doing all those things. In the meantime, he's not releasing the Epstein files. He's going to war with Iran, not building the wall, not carrying out the mass deportations. And so now he's beloved by the institutions. Trump has told the institutions, get behind me. I'll protect you. I'll protect your data centers. I'll protect your home values. I'll protect the asset bubble. I'll protect your profits and your cheap labor. I'll protect your complicity in Jeffrey Epstein's island. And it is him and the influencers taking the fight to the people, attacking the people. If you want the Epstein files, I don't want your vote. If you're against the war with Iran, you're not MAGA. If you attack Mark Levin, you're not MAGA. If you don't like the big, beautiful bill, you're not MAGA. Now the war is on behalf of the institutions against the people. It's on behalf of the elite against the democratic forces. This is, in a nutshell, what is going on. And that's why you have to say Trump is the problem. Now, I don't expect everybody to maybe go head on against Trump. Maybe that's suicidal politically because Trump is still extremely popular. He's still the leader of the party and the movement and the president, and he's at the top of the pyramid. But ultimately, you must realize that there's never going to be a populist movement until Trump is out of the picture. And I'm not insinuating anything there. I just mean until Trump is out of office, until Trump is unpopular, until he is basically rejected or exits the stage, he is always going to, he's not only not going to be the guy, he's going to prevent the guy from emerging. He cannot do it, just constitutionally. Cannot, will not deliver the victory. He's not Caesar. He's not a leader. He's not that guy. And not only is he not the guy, he's depriving us of the guy, but as long as he's around, there is no space for the guy to emerge. Because if that guy were to emerge, he would be attacked by Trump. Case in point, Tucker Carlson. Case in point, Megyn Kelly, Marjorie Greene, Thomas Massie. All the people that have critiqued Trump for the ways in which he has diverged from America first, the ways in which he has betrayed us to the deep state, Trump has used his political capital, he's used his popular support to bludgeon those people and sabotage their careers. So whereas a Marjorie Greene, a Thomas Massie, a Tucker, whereas they might have been able to take the baton or do something or climb the ladder, Trump is not only not helping them, he is suppressing them as potential competitors, challengers. That is why Trump really is the sickness. And this is why I said in 24, it's better actually, maybe, if he loses. Because you see how him being this 80,000-pound gorilla in the middle of the room, him being the center of gravity, him being this cult-like figure that cannot be questioned, cannot be criticized. He's the nucleus. Everything orbits around him. Everything is contingent upon him. You see how he has actually become the biggest opponent. He's become the biggest liability, actually, in a counterintuitive way. You might say, well, he's not perfect, but he's good. No, he's the enemy of the good. Because the good cannot ascend. It can't succeed as long as he is there holding everything in suspense, holding everything in place, and ultimately holding it all back. So that's the mass deportation policy. Don't blame the advisors. Don't blame the personnel. It's him. It's coming from the top. And how sick, by the way, how sick is that? Actually, how evil is that? Trump said in 2024, I'm going to deport 20 million people. We're going to have mass deportations. And then a year in, he just decides, never mind. What is wrong with you people? Why do you vote for politicians that promise you something and then openly just betray the promise? They just openly renege on the promise. So explicitly, it's just a public 180. He said, mass deportations, yeah, we're going to have the largest deportation effort. 20 million people are going to go. He doesn't do it, and a year in, he decides, you know what, never mind, we're going to shift gears. What? Well, then you forfeit your mandate to govern. That's how you got elected. Why do you think you're in the Oval Office? It's because people were furious that we had open borders for 4 years and we got invaded by Venezuela.
Yeah.
Venezuela opened up its doors and they flooded our country with like 4 million people from Venezuela alone. And there were millions more on top of that. And it got so bad, even in the south side of Chicago, Black Democrats are going to a town hall meeting or a city hall meeting and complaining about all the Venezuelans on the streets. It was a fever pitch. Yeah. You campaigned to fix it, to provide the remedy, and a year in, you say, never mind? That's disqualifying. That's a forfeit.
Well, so starting a fucking
How is there anybody left still defending it? And you hear from his defenders, they say, yeah, well, did you see the administration's considering preventing illegals from having bank accounts? Preventing them from having bank accounts.
So they can permanently.
Do they even have bank? What are you talking about? I want them removed from America.
Slaves,
I don't care if they have a bank account. Well, but you see, if they can't have a bank account, then maybe they'll leave. Well, I want them to be why do we give ICE $90 billion to hire ICE agents in detention facilities if all we're going to do is close their bank accounts? My bank account got closed. I'm still here. It's always some five-dimensional, well, Trump is considering maybe one day closing the bank accounts, which indirectly will lead to self-deport. Is that what the placard said? When I saw the RNC, maybe I forgot. Maybe it's the Mandela effect. I thought they had signs that said mass deportations, not we're going to ban illegals from having bank accounts so that they'll self-deport and then we'll have net negative migration. What is even the point then? And that leads me to our other story tonight, which is about the war in Iran. We had something else confirmed on the same day, and this is deeply related to this, shifting gears a little bit into our ongoing war in Iran, which will enter the 4th week in 24 hours. Today, our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, gave a press conference, and he confirmed the report from yesterday, a rumor, that the Pentagon is asking the White House to approve a $200 billion spending package to prosecute the war in Iran. So think about that. You had a mass deportation placard and a no new war placard. 1 year in, they're telling us no mass deportations, but we are going to have a $200 billion endless war in Iran. We are going to have a war in Iran with no clear objectives, mission creep, no exit plan, and it's going to cost us $200 billion. If that's not the biggest scam of all time, then what is? You're promised illegals will be removed from America, which is, by the way, that's a quality of life improvement for everybody. That is one of the worst things about living in America. Illegal immigrants are causing a lot of the problems. In Houston, they're breaking into people's cars and stealing their stuff. In Colorado, they're taking over apartment complexes. In New York, they're putting them up in hotels. And same thing in Chicago, having to build tent cities for them. And you see them everywhere. They're there on the street corner with their kids selling candy bars that they stole from Walgreens. This is the 21st century. We're in a first world country. And we have this peasant population of foreign nationals. We already had an underclass of minorities and refugees and regular old immigrants. Now we got 10 million more here. Trump promised to fix that by kicking these people out. We're not getting that. They're telling us that's no longer popular since a year ago. At the same time, they told us no new wars. We're going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, and we're not going to start any wars. The war in Ukraine rages on, and now there's another war in Iran, which will actually cost more money in 3 weeks than the Ukraine war cost in 4 years. And you're telling me we didn't get betrayed? You're telling me we didn't get scammed? You're telling me you're seriously going to consider voting Republican in 26? This is a story. This is from the Washington Post. It says, quote, the Pentagon has asked for $200 billion in funding for the war in Iran, according to a military and administration official, a significant sum, adding to the cost of an already divisive campaign. The request has been sent to the White House, the military official said, which will review it before any request for funds is formally submitted to Congress. The official spoke on condition of anonymity, and the request was reported earlier by the Washington Post. Obviously, it takes money to kill bad guys, said Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
That Hegseth is a
as far as the the $200 billion, I think that number could move, he said. Oh, okay, good. In 2014, the Congressional Research Service calculated that the U.S. had spent $815 billion in direct cost for the war in Iraq over 13 years. A recent report from the Council on Foreign Relations found the U.S. had dedicated $188 billion in aid to shore up Ukraine's war effort since Russia invaded in 2022. So $800 billion for Iraq, $200 billion for Ukraine, $200 billion for Iran. And we're not even 3 weeks in.
Not a fucking dime for us.
It's actually going to cost us $230 billion in direct cost. So this is a fourth the cost of a 20-year war. It costs more than a 4-year war. We're not even 4 weeks in. And this is from the administration that said, we're putting Americans first. We're going to put all our money back in America to make America great again. We're going to fight no new wars, and we're going to extricate ourselves from the endless wars in the Middle East. And now we're going to find $200 billion to go to war in Iran. Why? Well, remember they said it's because Iran poses an imminent threat. Then they corrected themselves and said, well, Israel was going to hit them first. So because of Israel, we're now in a $200 billion endless war in Iran. Meanwhile, we can't deport even 500,000 people from our country per year. So what about any of this is working? Isn't this, like, let me just ask you, it's not a rhetorical question. What to you is the worst case scenario? How is it different than this? For people that are saying, well, it could have been worse. Well, at least it wasn't the Democrats. In your mind, what is the worst case scenario? What is the red line? They haven't even deported 500,000 people per year. Simultaneously, we are still at war in Ukraine, and they have plunged us into a war in Iran, which is a catastrophe. There is no exit plan, and it is going to cost us, in the end, nearly $250 billion, and Trump brought us there on behalf of Israel.
Crazy.
So what about this is working? Exactly. What about this isn't the whole spirit of the movement making America great again? How is this making America great again? This is making America worse. This is setting us back. Another war sets us back. Canceling mass deportations, that's effectively an amnesty. That sets us back. We're up 10 million illegals and we're down $200 billion.
Yep.
We amnestied every illegal in America, and we're going to go into another war in the Middle East, depleting our stockpile, killing deterrence. They shot down an F-35, and they're learning about our technology. It's the opposite of, it's not just not living up to the promises. It's not politics made it messy. No, this is the opposite of what we were promised. And think about what we have been told in the past 10 years about anything. We have been told that we need fiscal restraint.
Yeah, not when it comes
to
to
the Republicans are constantly telling us about the debt ceiling and out of control spending and the deficit and the debt. We're being told we can't afford.
It's not about the debt or the deficit. What it is about is where the money's spent. They're not spending money on us. They're not going to do it. They have no problem spending money on their pet projects, but they will not spend a dime on us. And whenever they need something done, it's all urgency, all, emergency. We got to do this. We're going to, we need to defend ourselves. It's all alarm. But when we need something, the people need something. We can't afford such a thing. We can't afford to take care of you. We can't afford for your family to be fucking. It's crazy.
Medicaid. We can't afford Medicare. We need to raise the retirement age. We can't afford Social Security. Isn't this what they say? They said we need Doge because we need austerity. We need to find trillions of dollars in waste, fraud, and abuse.
So
we're going to nickel and dime all the different departments and agencies. We're going to downsize the Department of Education and HHS and all the different departments and agencies. We're going to cut $800 billion from Medicaid. We're going to look into modifying the entitlements, kicking people off of Social Security because we're out of money. Oh, but Israel needs to topple the government in Iran? $200 billion. And they're enthusiastic about it.
Both sides.
They're enthusiastic about it. $200 billion extra. Trump wants a $1.5 trillion defense budget.
That's insane.
Up
that
from
is
$1 trillion.
Fucking insane.
Under Biden, I think in 2023, it was $800 billion. Trump in 2026 wants it to be $1.5 trillion. Unclear if that's including or excluding this $200 billion ask. Where's that money going to come from?
We don't
exactly. Where is that money actually going to come from? How are they going to pay for that? Last year, we had to cut $800 billion from Medicaid to pay for a corporate tax cut, where we permanently reduced the corporate tax rate from 35% to 23%. Now, we need to find other cuts from entitlements, healthcare, whatever, to pay for $200 billion for a war with Iran. So what does our tax money go towards? Exactly.
Our elites.
It seems like it goes to Somali scammers. It goes to daycare centers and food drives and other scams. It's going to Somalian real estate projects, luxury cars, Lamborghinis and Ferraris for Somalis that hate us in Minneapolis. It's going to black people to pay for steak using SNAP, using their EBT card. It's going to illegal immigrants and their hospital visits. If you go to Rush Hospital in downtown Chicago, it's like Mogadishu. It's like the third world. God help you if you need health care in a major American city. Tell me I'm wrong. Go to an emergency room in New York City. Go to an emergency room in Chicago, in LA. It's like a fucking third world country. And those people don't have insurance. So it's going to those people, and it's going to public schools where they're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. It's going to Israel's decapitation campaign against Iran, and it's going to the richest people in the world, the AI oligarchs and scions who don't pay taxes, who don't have to abide by regulations, who get government contracts. This is making America great again. This is what it is all for. They told us a border wall, which cost $20 billion, that was too expensive in Trump's first term. Republicans, when they had the House and the Senate, they would not give Trump $17 billion for a border wall. They said, too much, costs too much money. We'll give you $1.6 billion. Mass deportations, they say, are too unpopular. We can't run on mass deportations at 26. It's turning everybody off. It's not popular anymore. But a war with Iran that costs $200 billion, well, that's going to give us a sense of urgency to pass an appropriations bill using budget reconciliation. They actually want to do it. It's never enough. We gave $27 billion to Israel in 2024. The war has cost us $30 billion so far, another $200 billion for a grand total of $260 billion all in, maybe close to $300 billion, factoring in the carrier strike groups, factoring in the war against the Houthis, factoring in all the other airstrikes. $300 billion for a war in Iran? No problem. Least popular war in contemporary history, 27% approval rating? Hey, no problem. Trump says, I don't have the yips about boots on the ground. I don't care if it's unpopular. We may do it. That's fine. As they watch their odds of winning the Senate collapse, as they watch the odds of a Republican to win in 2028 collapse, for them, that's fine.
And they can go for broke. Just do what they want.
And this is why you need to realize this is the simplest form of the idea. It's not working. Okay, people are overthinking it. Don't overthink it.
The agreement that we had worked out with our elites, it's not working anymore. It used to be a good deal up until like the 90s, and then they changed it. But I mean, it was a good deal. People had a good quality of life. There was meaning to life. They've stripped life of all meaning. They've broken it down to us as atomized individuals that don't see another human being for weeks at a time. It seems they've stripped it all out. There needs to be we need to draw up a new deal or something.
You're overthinking everything. People are working themselves up. They're setting plays, making moves, playing games. And they're saying, well, you see, we got to vote Republican because we got to get our guys in there and we got to kiss Trump's ass because we need him to do this, that. Here's the simplest form of the idea. It's not working, okay? Trump, Obama. Biden, Obama. There's no difference. It makes no difference. You vote for the candidate that's going to burn it all down. You vote for the candidate that's going to build back better. It makes no difference.
Nope.
You get a war in Ukraine regardless. The war in Ukraine started under Obama. Trump gave them lethal aid. It started really then under Biden when Russia invaded. Now under Trump, they're still getting money. It's all the same. Trump started Operation Warp Speed. He's the father of the vaccine. He got it. He got the vaccine. Trump shut down the economy. Then Biden mandated the vaccine and carried on the lockdowns. It does not matter. You always lose. The House always wins. Trump gets elected to build a wall. He doesn't do it. Biden then opens the country up to 10 million illegals. Trump gets elected to deport them. Then he decides he doesn't want to anymore. It's all the same. And this is why, from a propositional point of view, the only thing I'm interested in is anti, against, opposition. I'm not for Republican. I'm not for Trump. I'm not for Democrat. I'm against whoever runs that is against AIPAC, that is against the Iran war, that is against the elites, against the system, against the establishment. That's the only person I'm interested in going with. I'm not interested in more people explaining themselves to me, explaining how it works. Well, here's what happened. It doesn't matter what happened. Look at the result. You have people, they still call themselves Trump supporters. They recognize ostensibly that this is not going well. war in Iran, no deportations, and they're telling us, well, here's what we need to do. Here's why it is the way it is. What are you talking about? Look at the effects. Look at the result. It's not working. We're 10 years in, and it's bullshit. So it failed. I'm never voting for this again, and I'm voting for the guy that's going to destroy all this. I'm voting for a destroyer. People say, you want to burn it all down and celebrate over the ashes. Yeah. Don't you? At this point, don't you? They say this guy, Nick Fuentes, he just wants to burn it all down just so he could be the king of the ashes. He just wants chaos and destruction. Yeah, at this point, I do. Somalis are scamming Minnesota out of $8 billion to buy luxury cars, fund construction projects. They're rich and they fucking hate us. We send ICE to investigate and deport them. A couple of protesters die and ICE just quits. They just leave. And it's still going on. Biden had open borders. 10 million people came here. They don't have health insurance. They can't afford to live here. They can't afford education. 10 million people are being subsidized. You are working 3 or 4 months out of the year for foreign nationals, leeching off of public services. And Trump will not deport them. That's over now. Trump got elected on no new wars, said he would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. War in Ukraine is still going on. Now they want $200 billion for Americans to die in Iran and to spend all our money so that Israel can become a superpower. They want a moratorium on AI. Data centers are the only thing driving any economic growth. Getting harder for everybody else. Elon Musk is going to become a trillionaire. Meanwhile, defaults on car loans and mortgages are through the roof. People have no savings.
Meals, food.
You're telling me there's something to salvage here? What's the alternative? People are telling us, well, you see, it's a team game. We got to be a team player. I don't feel like I'm on the team. When Trump is motherfucking us every day on True Social because we're not kissing Mark Levin's ass and cheerleading a war in Iran, and because we still want the Epstein files, I don't feel like I'm on the team. Donald Trump called Laura Loomer to celebrate the war in Iran. He had lunch with Mark Levin before bombing Iran. Lindsey Graham's on Air Force One selling him the war on behalf of Netanyahu. Meanwhile, I'm being told he doesn't want my vote because I still want the Epstein files. I don't feel like I'm on the team, actually. I'm not wearing a jersey. I didn't sign a contract. I'm not getting paid. And nobody passes the ball to me. So what do you mean we need to be a team player?
Nobody passes the ball.
Fuck you. And fuck all this. And MAGA, I'm out. If it's not America first, it's not good enough, and I don't want it. Don't let anybody tell you that America first isn't enough. They say, well, you see, we can't run on America first, and we can't deliver America first. That's just not practical. It's just politics. You just need to be patient. You just need to understand. Don't let anybody convince you of that. Because
what they're saying is you just need to be quiet and let us do what the fuck we want. You can't do anything about it anyway. That's really what they're saying. You know, they may hem and haw and say different things, but what they really mean, what they're really saying is sit down, shut the fuck up. It doesn't matter what you think. So why are you even speaking?
Trump won the election in 2016 on America First. Lest anybody forget, that is where this whole movement came from. That is why Trump still has support. It all came from that in 2016. That's the winning formula. Is reindustrializing America with protection and tariffs, closing the border, and having a nativist, restrictionist immigration policy, and having a restrained, non-interventionist foreign policy where we are not at war with the entire world, destabilizing every region, and spending all of our money building other countries. That is the original formula. Don't let anybody tell you that that's not good enough all of a sudden and we need to pull out this bag of tricks. We need the Chinese students. We need the Indian engineers. The universities need the students. The farmers need the labor. Wall Street needs the profits.
Our elites need
They're
more
trying to
bodies.
convince you to fight against yourself, to
Yeah.
negotiate against yourself. And think about how shameless that is. How do you even go out there at the press conference and even say that and not hang your head in shame? They go out there and say, hey, man, we need $200 billion. It's not free to fight the bad guys. Hey, man, fuck you. Seriously? First of all, the bad guys, are we children? Stop insulting my...
And it blows my mind the way everybody does the throat clearing, the qualifying before they say something about Iran. They'd be like, nobody's going to defend Iran. We all know this and that. They're evil and terrorists. I'm like, how do you know that? Because I've never seen them do anything. I've never seen them own it. They've never said, hey, we did this. Never. I've just heard that my own ruling class constantly telling me these people are evil. I don't fucking buy it at all. And the fact that they constantly say it, that's why I don't buy it. If these people were so evil, you wouldn't feel it necessary to keep reminding me how evil they are. No, I think they're just your fucking boogeyman. They're just standing in the way of you stuffing another billion into your fucking pockets. That's what the deal is. Those motherfuckers are standing in the way of money, and our politicians, our ruling class, they have a problem with that. These Arabs, these Persians, they don't want to just lay down and let us take their shit. They have a big chunk of money underneath them they're sitting on, and they don't want to let us wet our fucking beaks. That's a problem. We are the gangsters of this planet. We decide how things go. And they're just they're sick of Iran holding out on them. Nothing. It's same as any Godfather movie. They don't like that Iran is making all that money and they're not getting their cut. That's why Iran split off all these years ago, because they were like, fuck you, you're not getting our shit. And, we put up with it for years until now. We don't, they're not as flush with money as they were 50, 60 years ago. Now all of a sudden they need that money. There isn't other money easy to get. So now they're like, okay, this is the next easiest payday for us. So we'll just fucking raid the kitty. We'll just rob the bank. We'll spend our people's money and go in there, knock their asses off, knock the head guy off, and we'll take the kitty. We'll take it all. We'll grab the bag and get out of there. Well, it didn't work out that easy, you fucking douchebags. And now you're ruining, or you're making your shit unpalatable. Nobody's gonna vote for these people anymore. But the country is all waking up to what this scam, this absolute scam. They're not content with having all the other money, like 80-90% of all the money on the planet. They got all that, but that last 10% that fucking these Persians are holding on to, it's unacceptable. We got to take that. I mean, and that's really what these wars are about. They're not about fucking helping the people of that country. No, it's just when they feel, oh, this is worth our time, or there's enough money to be had in this endeavor. Well, let's do it. Then they're willing to take that chance. That's the only time you ever see them willing to take a chance politically, when they're going to benefit from it, when they're going to walk away looking good or feeling good. And that's why they went for Iran finally. There's money there, that they're not, it's a stream of money that they haven't had at their disposal. And they're looking to take that shit.
Intelligence. But he comes out there, they say, are you seriously considering? You just got done. And think about how sick it is. How much did we hear about the war in Ukraine and how expensive that is? Republicans ran in the 2022 midterms on auditing or cutting foreign aid to Ukraine. They ran in 2024 on ending the war in Ukraine. Now there's no end in sight there. It's not over. That's still going on. It still cost us all this money. And they come out and they tell us, hey, well, we need another $200 billion. We got to fight the bad guys. So do we all just have collective amnesia? The Republicans have said for literally the past 4 years, audit foreign aid to Ukraine, cut foreign aid to Ukraine, no more new wars. If Trump was elected, this would have never happened. It's still going on, and now they're starting another, and they shamelessly go out and say, yeah, we need $200 billion to fight the bad guys. And people eat it right up. They eat it right up. How much did they campaign about illegal immigration? About open borders? You need to elect us so that we can close the border. You need to hold the line in 2022 so that we can put some restrictions on Biden's open borders immigration policy. 2024, elect us. We'll do mass deportations. 26, they say, I think we just about did it. We don't need mass deportations.
After all. Yeah, we don't need them after all.
It is about taking public sentiment.
They figure
and
out
steering
how that they can make those immigrants a positive for them. They finally figured it out. You know, they were thinking, shit, we may have to get rid of these people after all. They did, you know, we thought we had a job for them, and all of a sudden we don't. The economy's kind of shitty. But then they start this war, and they're like, well, you know, maybe we don't need to after all. Maybe we do have a way to jigger this that we could come out on top without having to throw these people out. You know, increase our subjugated peoples, the people that are willing to be subjugated by us. We can increase that and still walk away with extra. I mean, I'm sure somehow they figured out how to benefit from these 10 million people staying, or 20 million, or whatever it is. But that's why the people ain't getting shipped out, because they figured out that they'll make more money with those people here than with those people not here.
Into a ditch where it's not going to roil the political system. That's really what this is. It's hot and cold. The Democrats do what they need to do and rally up their people. The Democrats redistribute the wealth, and they let in all the illegal aliens, and they have all the woke stuff. The rubes get mad. The rubes overthrow the Democrats. They get in. Yeah. And then the Republicans bomb Israel, genocide Gaza, give all the money to little tech.
They just
and the Democrats are mad.
Our money away.
You see how this, and it just oscillates. It just keeps turning. And I'm in favor only of a political solution where we step outside of the wheel.
The hamster
Step outside
wheel.
of that hamster wheel that's always turning.
Bro, it is a hamster
Trump
wheel.
is not that person. It's not that movement. It isn't working here. $200 billion. Are you kidding me? And I'm old enough to remember they literally told us $17 billion is far too much for a border wall, for an 18-foot steel bollard fence in only half of the southern border. Oh, it's too much. $260 billion to bomb Iran? Hey, well, if it'll break the stalemate in Congress, let's fully send it. We're going to talk a little bit about the operations in Iran briefly. This war has no end in sight. As you know, there is a stalemate right now. The United States is unable to topple Iran's regime, unable to suppress their fire. In the meantime, Iran is creating economic pressure against the United States and the whole world by choking off the energy and other commodities that flow through the Strait of Hormuz. Trump is faced with two options. He can either escalate to victory by invading Iran and toppling the regime, which might be ruinous for America, or he retreats, withdraws, begs Iran for a ceasefire, and it's a strategic defeat for the United States. He's looking for a way out, and he settled on a third option, which is he is going to try to forcibly reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Last week, he initiated a new phase of the conflict, launching an energy war. He bombed Karg Island in the Persian Gulf. And then a couple of days ago, Trump and Israel struck against Iran's South Pars gas fields in order to pressure Iran to agree to open up the Strait of Hormuz, thinking that maybe if we increase the economic pressure on Iran, as they have against us, then maybe they will accede to our demands. And that didn't work. So today, the operation, a military operation to force the strait open, has begun. Trump sent in airplanes and helicopters to bomb the Strait of Hormuz, its islands, its coastline, and territory, in a bid to eventually, potentially invade the coastline or the islands in the strait and ultimately regain control of the shipping there. And this is a story, this is from the Journal. It says, quote, "The U.S. and its allies have intensified the battle to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, sending low-flying attack jets over the sea lanes to blast Iranian naval vessels and Apache helicopters to shoot down Iran's deadly drones. The stepped-up operation is part of a multi-stage Pentagon plan to reduce the danger from Iranian armed boats, mines, and cruise missiles, which have halted ship traffic through the waterway since early March. If the danger can be reduced, the U.S. could send U.S. warships through the strait and eventually escort vessels in and out of the Persian Gulf. But it will likely take weeks for the U.S. to clear out Iran's web of assets that have harassed traffic through the choke point. Air Force General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, revealed the operation in a Pentagon news conference, saying that heavily armed A-10 warplanes, known as Warthogs, along with Apache attack helicopters, were flying missions over the strait or off the southern coast of Iran. Despite the strikes, Iran is still believed to have a vast stockpile of mines, cruise missiles on trucks, and hundreds of undamaged boats in hidden facilities with deeply dug tunnels along the coast and on islands. The general said, quote, "I think it will take weeks to reach a point where there can be safe operations in the strait. Even then, a lot of the Iranian assets will survive." So the latest stage in the conflict is they are preparing this multi-stage operation. They're really doing it, where they're going to try to use the military to open up the strait. And I don't even understand how that's going to be possible. You need to understand about the Strait of Hormuz. At its narrowest point, it is 24 miles long. Do you know how small that is? 24 miles long at the narrowest point. And what that means is that Iranians that are hundreds of miles inland inside of Iran can reliably hit ships in the strait with drones, ballistic missiles, cruise missiles. And so if you want to prevent drones and missiles from hitting ships in the strait, you have to clear a radius hundreds of miles inside of Iran's territory. Massive, vast swath of territory. You need to make sure there are zero drones, zero missiles of any kind being launched and reaching ships in the strait. It's impossible. Cannot be done. Last year, we bombed Yemen 1,000 times, and we couldn't stop them from bombing the Red Sea, which is far bigger. Iran is many, many, many times the size of Houthi-controlled Yemen, has a significantly larger population and military, and a huge industrial base. And apparently, they're still getting resupplied from China with new drones and parts for missiles, they say, from Tajikistan. Last year, we could not stop the Houthis from bombing the Red Sea. You think we can stop Iran now from bombing the Strait of Hormuz? With exponentially more territory, more people, bigger industrial base, more projectiles, and a much smaller target? How is that even going to happen? They say, well, we're bombing all their ships and their islands and tunnels and this, that, and the other. Still, you're always going to have the threat of drones from inside the country. They say the operation will take several weeks at the minimum. And they say even after this operation is complete, and it looks like they're planning to have Marines land on islands in the Strait of Hormuz or near the strait, even if you're able to do all these things, okay, we're going to take the islands. That is a suicide mission all by itself. IEDs, tunnels, incoming drones and missiles, even if you're able to do all this without a hitch. Marines are there. They've taken islands, airstrikes and helicopter attacks, anti-missile systems, whatever. Even still, they say, after 3 weeks, we're still not going to be able to guarantee that every ship is going to make it through the strait without being hit. So what exactly is the goal here? And you realize there really is no way out of this. This is a war where there is no plan, no exit strategy. It's impossible. And so this is very quickly starting to feel like Iraq, where no one really seems to have any clue how this is ever going to end. Iran, if you haven't been able to stop them from shooting now, if you haven't collapsed the government by now, you might never be able to do it. So the Strait of Hormuz is indefinitely closed. Okay, well, if the Strait of Hormuz is indefinitely closed, then oil prices are just going to keep going up and up and up. And some estimates say that oil could hit $200 per barrel. They say that's not out of the question. by late April. They say if oil is up to $138 a barrel through the end of April, and if it sustains that for weeks and months, you have a full-on global recession. Well, they're saying the timeline to even have any semblance of an effective operation in the Strait is at least another 3 weeks. The Marines are going to take a week to get there. The Gerald Ford is going to be out of commission for at least another week. What happens when we're still in Iran by the end of April? What do you do then? Global economy's down. Americans surely are going to die, maybe by the dozens, perhaps by the hundreds if you try to invade the mainland, coastline, islands. God forbid if Marines actually try to set foot on the island, surely there's going to be an IED waiting for them. Surely there's going to be shoulder-mounted missiles, drones, all that stuff is going to be waiting for them. So here we are in late April or May. Oil prices have been persistently high for months. Maybe we're cracking $140 a barrel. Maybe it's $200 a barrel. You have runaway inflation in Europe and the United States. You have energy shortages in Vietnam and Taiwan and Korea, Japan. You have dozens, hundreds maybe of dead Americans, depleted U.S. stockpiles of standoff weapons, standoff munitions, radar systems, THAAD systems, Patriot missile batteries. What do you do then? Do you retreat after months of war? At that point, do you withdraw? There's literally no end in sight to the conflict. And that's the scary part. I don't think anybody even realizes where this is going. It gets very uncomfortable because you realize that defeat is really not an option. This is something that I don't think the United States is going to walk away from. I don't think the United States even can walk away from it at this point. It just seems impossible that the Iranians would even agree to stop bombing the Strait of Hormuz without preconditions, that the United States is unwilling to give. But even if they were, they might not stop. It's not Trump's temperament. We can't afford to lose our deterrent credibility. That's when you start to think, is a tactical nuke going to be deployed? Is it going to be a full-fledged ground invasion? Honestly, what are the options for extricating ourselves from the conflict? And this is why they're asking for $200 billion. I hate to say that, but they're not asking for $200 billion to replace Patriot missile batteries. They're asking for $200 billion because they're getting ready for a much wider and much more intense conflict. And I don't think people are ready for that. And that's the latest on the operations. Running out of time, so we'll leave that part short a little bit. And we're going to move on. We'll take a look. We'll see what you guys are saying. Hate to leave it on a bad note like that, but this is about as bad as it gets. All across the board, politically, strategically. This is a bad scene. All right, but we're going to move on. We're going to take a look. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. Let's see.
America first nigga sent $20. I literally drive my out-of-wedlock children in my minivan.
Who is that a quote from? I didn't see that. But thanks, I
Charles
guess.
Otis sent $20. I saw that Arctis put out an essay about you in connection with a new book they're putting out about the political revolution of Gen Z. What are your thoughts on Arctis and or the whole intellectual movement of the Nouvelle Droite, French New Right? Are they antithetical to you or do you have common cause with them?
I don't really know that much about them. I like Arctos. Is that Freiberg runs it? He's pretty good. But I don't, I know the French New Right is extremely pagan. So I'm not a fan of that, but I'm not really into the European far right, the French New Right. I was never really big into that.
Coastside 689 sent $150. Do you know any Groyper clerics? Does AF have a chaplain? Happy feast day of St. Joseph.
AF does not have a chaplain. Groyper clerics? I mean, yeah, I know some priests. Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. Interesting question. Yeah, happy. Is it really St. Joseph's Day? Damn, I didn't get any Zeppola. Maybe I'll go pick some up tomorrow. Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it.
JMMPL sent $30. Today is St. Joseph's feast day. Protector of the Holy Family, terror of demons, pray for us.
Absolutely.
B. Relievar sent $50. 24-year-old electrician from MA. Want to remind you there's a lot of quiet people who really do understand you. Ignore the loud ones who don't. I pray God blesses you with all the resilience needed, bro.
You think so? Well, I appreciate the
Will
super
Stansel
chat.
Secret Groyper alt sent $22. Did you see Piers leave his own interview with that Kirkland clavicular guy yesterday? This is like the third Manosphere guy he's brought on their own show and they all keep bringing up Mr. Suds. Groyper curse undefeated.
I did see that. Yeah, it was funny.
Kick Butkowski was right, sent $50. Tucker is a simp. Why is it only women sticking to their guns? Like who, Tulsi? And I ain't ready for the altar, but I do agree there's times when a woman sure can be a friend of mine. Epic song.
Well, the song sounds dumb, but you know what I discovered about Tucker? I saw this clip of him on Fox and Friends from years ago, and he said that he's known his wife since the first week of 10th grade. He married his high school sweetheart. They met when they were 15. And in that moment, I immediately understood everything. Of course, the guy that married his high school sweetheart is going to be totally blue-pilled about women, obviously. So how old is Tucker now? He's got to be in his 50s. So what year did they meet? That just goes to show how out of touch he is. So if he was born in 69 and he met his high school sweetheart in what, 84, 83? So you met your rich, white, pretty girlfriend when you were 15 years old in the 10th grade at your private rich school.
Like a
with,
cotillion,
I don't know what the
probably.
tuition is there, but it's expensive. You met her, you married her. I guess they got married about 20 years later, or maybe 7 years after they met. Now you're the authority on women. That just goes to show how out of touch you are. If only it were that simple. Tucker says, yeah, just marry your high school sweetheart that you never stopped dating from the time you were 15. Just marry the rich, white, blonde girl you met at your private school on the East Coast. Just do that. Just do that. It's easy. Well, you know, Tucker, it's easy to say that you love women. It's easy to say that women aren't the problem and you love women and women are so amazing and blah, 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 when that's the arrangement. Most people are not able to have that arrangement. First of all, our generation is already a minority. That's first. Most Zoomers and Gen Alpha growing up in a major metro, they're already a minority. So there's not even a lot of white people at their school, period. Second of all, they also have OnlyFans and Snapchat and Instagram. So I'm sure growing up in the 80s, there was no phenomenon of like every girl has their nudes on Snapchat and every guy has seen every girl's nudes. But that happens with regularity now in high schools and middle schools. You also didn't have internet pornography. You also didn't have girls literally turning 18 and getting on OnlyFans. Like, it's a different world now. Women are different. Men are different. It's not the fucking 80s. It's not Fast Times at Ridgemont High, bro. Not everybody is growing up in a rich white boarding school in what, Rhode Island or whatever, and wherever you grew up, California, where all the girls are blonde and their dads are loaded. It's a different world. So he meets his girlfriend when they're 15. And you know what? God bless. I'm not bitter about it. Like, good for you. That's how it should be. I'm in favor of that. God bless. That's how it should be. Good for you. If that's how it worked, I think everybody would be happy. If it was still like that, nobody would have a problem. There'd be no women-hating incels. There'd be no women-hating lookist, black pill, whatever. But it isn't like that anymore. It isn't the 80s when California was an ethno-state for white people, you know, for beautiful blonde white people. And you're in a $20,000 a year, you know, high school, private high school, and you marry your college sweetheart that you never stopped seeing from the time you were in English class in your sophomore year. If everybody had that, yeah, I think everybody would be totally happy, but it isn't like that. It isn't like that at all. So that's the issue. But doesn't that explain everything? Because he brings me on the show and he's like, you beat up on girls. It's like, okay, so you never moved on past sophomore year. That's why you don't get it. You met your first girlfriend at age 15 and she became your wife and you had kids with her and all that went down in the 80s in California. So that's why you have this completely naive and immature view of women. Because that's your situation. Oh, obviously, You think I'm beating up on those poor girls. I'm sure Tucker's wife, she probably is an angel. If a girl pair bonds with a guy her sophomore year, and that's the only guy she's ever had sex with, and has only known intimacy with one guy, and it's you, from the time she was a teenager, yeah, I'm sure she is probably as close to the ideal as a girl could be. But that's not what we're dealing with. Guys in this day and age are dealing with a girl with a double-digit body count. Try that one on for size, Tucker. You think I'm beating up on girls? Try talking to a girl and you know that she's got a double-digit body count, okay? And think about, try imagining that. Picture that. Let me paint a picture for you. 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, huge body counts. Picture this and all that entails. Birth control, BPD, and, you know, they have an OnlyFans on the side, and, you know, they're on Instagram with 10,000 DM requests from football players and Saudi oil sheiks and this, that, you know. He goes, he beats up on girls. Dude, honestly, most girls need to get their ass kicked in this day and age. Isn't that true? Most girls need to get their fucking ass kicked by their dad. Because it's not like it was in 1983, bro, okay? It ain't the summer of 69 like all you fucking boomers think it is. Totally insane, yeah. Well, I married my high school sweetheart. She never slept with another guy or thought about another guy, and I think girls are doing just fine. It's like, really? Because most guys are on Tinder and they get 2 matches. Most guys go on a date and their girl has 100 bodies and they fucking lie about it. You know? And all they do is fucking lie. And he beats up on girls. He's a gay, woman-hating misogynist that beats up on girls. Okay, bro, whatever, man. You just don't get it. You ask your son. Your son is chopped. Ask him. Your son's fucking chopped. Ask him how the search is going. Oh, wait, he's a Nepo baby too. But he's probably dealing with the same stuff. So, am I right or am I wrong? Seriously. This is the guy that said, sorry, I called you gay. He literally said that I beat up on girls. He said, well, I disagree with him. I disagree with anybody that beats up on girls. Oh, I beat up on girls. Grow up. Can you grow up? Pussy whip boy. I know your wife is honest. I'm not even being sarcastic. Your wife is probably an angel. And congratulations, you literally won the lottery. Your parents are rich. You got trust funds on trust funds. You were born before the third world rapification of America. You got to live in California before it got filled up with Mexicans. And you went to a $20,000 a year private high school and you met a blonde Protestant girl whose parents are loaded and she never had another boyfriend and you got married. I'm sure she's probably an angel, and God bless you. Good for you. But for those of us that were born a little bit later, missed it by that much, you know, it's a little different. Those of us that are growing up in the 2010s, the 2020s, it's a little bit different. You know, your wife wasn't dating AI. Your wife wasn't dating a tentacle monster on AI. Your wife never had a romantic relationship with a tentacle monster on ChatGPT. That's the difference, okay? Your wife never considered having a spicy page, blue page in bio. She never had you taking pictures of her for her at the beach for her Instagram. So the horny non-white guys and football players can slide in. She didn't have 100 bodies because there was still a culture of shame about that kind of stuff. Maybe she got 1. Probably not if you met when you were 15, unless you had a break or something. It's a different world. So, and by the way, so that's my message for Tucker. But for everybody else, this is a lesson to all the young men out there. Don't listen to these boomers because that's their world. They live in a completely fucking different world. So when you hear these boomers say, get married young, have more kids than you can afford, like consider the source. Consider the source. That would be like, you know, Barron Trump going to a homeless crack baby and saying, I don't know, did you try getting a job? Or like, no, I was born addicted to crack. You know, like that would be like somebody, that would be like Elon Musk's, you know, transgender son, Vivian Musk, going to some homeless crack baby who's living in a Motel 8 on the side of Mannheim Road and saying, I don't know, did you try getting a job? Why don't you try learning to code? That's what my dad did. So it's a different world. I saw that clip and I'm like, oh, so that's what yeah, so that's why he thinks I'm like some disgusting human being. Because he watches my show where I'm like, we need to kick women's ass. And he's like, why would you want to beat up on my wife? She's an angel. We met when we were 15 and we kissed at the drive-in movie. And then we went to third base, you know, 10 years later after we got married. Like, bro, we're in a different universe now. We're in a different dimension. You know, women are put on birth control when they're 15 now. They literally have 7 bodies by the time they're 19. They go to college. They fuck 100 guys in their freshman year. They start an OnlyFans or a Patreon or seeking arrangements or whatever. They're fucking evil. And guys go to women with a bouquet of flowers and a gift and, you know, text messages, pickup lines. Oh, I love you. You know, I want this. I want to cuddle, blah, blah. And women, their roster, their bench is 1,000 dicks deep. It's literally 1,000 deep. You know, the hypergamy situation, you have 100,000 guys competing for the same, like, mid-white girl. And it's guys, it's an age range of like 18 to 50. Net worth ranging from, you know, $0 to $1 billion. You literally need to be a billionaire. Even if you're a low millionaire, it's not good enough. You could be a guy making like 150 grand a year at age like 19 or 20, and they'll still be like, I'm talking to this guy that's 29 and he's a billionaire. He's a billionaire. He has $1 billion. He has a $15 million mansion in Coconut Grove. You know, it's just like, hypergamy is real. Watch Clavicular. As the prophet said, dude, Clavicular is like the prophet. Sayings of the prophet Clavicular. Like, all you need to do is watch Clavicular stream. How many of these do you need to see where it's like, there's a picture on Instagram of like a good looking guy, a good ass looking guy.
The bitch just rides on him.
Okay, that's gay. It's objectively, it's true.
That.
These are good looking guys that are well dressed and clean and facially attractive, same age peers, and they're with their girl at homecoming or prom or whatever. And you see that same girl slutting out at the club, bussing it down for Clavicular in the Sprinter van. That has happened like 4 times in the past 4 weeks.
Yeah.
That we know about.
And where he's thrown them out too.
That's all you need to know. That's all you need to see. And then they get caught. They're like, wait, is this live? Oh my gosh, I need to go. Oh my gosh, I made a big mistake. You fucking whore.
Don't
you
put
got
this
caught.
In your live stream. They're an idiot. Like, what? You're already on it, you idiot.
Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're doing. Beating up on girls. Who's looking out for the men? Mm-hmm. Is that gay to look out for men? All men are kings. What about the men?
And when you're pissed,
what about the fellas? What about the homies?
If you're pissed off about the way, you know, these girls are nowadays, point your ire at our ruling elite. because they are the ones who changed these women. They are the ones who changed our way of life. They are the ones that fucking told that made these women that way. They didn't decide that for themselves. Our elites decided that fucking decades ago. And we get the shit end of the stick always, always. But they're the ones who did this. They're the ones who made these women into what they are, and that they eventually they're sorry that they let the propaganda get to them. And it's a tragedy. It's a fucking tragedy.
What about the boys? You know, and for the mothers, what about your sons, huh?
Yeah. What about
The
your
young
sons?
men are renting a tuxedo. You know, they're getting their corsage for prom. I hope she likes me.
Right, and the mom's
Going out to the prom,
making him
and
into
then
a
where is
sweetheart.
she? She's on the Sprinter van with clavicular, shaking her fat little ass,
Trying to get
shaking her
railed.
disgusting flat ass. No, it's not fat. Shaking her flat ass,
Her pancake ass.
bussing it down
Bussing it.
for King Clavicular on the Sprinter van. And she's leaving homie on red. She's leaving bro on red. Bro's jester maxing. She's leaving bro on red.
The smart guys thank clavicular.
Bro
though.
is literally in the bar pleading, "Don't go with Clav." She
pussies.
goes, I don't care. I don't know you.
Don't take my
crazy.
girlfriend,
It's
dude.
fucking insane.
Those are the pussies.
It's
The real
it's very
dudes
dark.
are
It's
appreciative.
actually very dark and brutal. And people like Tucker, they're doing a disservice because they grew up in La La Land, like they're living in a movie. It's like when you take movies too seriously, you know? Like you live in a different reality, so I'm not going to take your advice. The way he talks about women, they're so mysterious. No, they just lie, dude. They just lie and they're whores. Not all of them, but like it is a serious problem. And you can't say we're beating up on women for calling it out. Let me be serious for a moment. Obviously, not every woman is a whore, but this is a serious problem of a lot of them are acting like whores. There's no guardrails. There's no standards. There's no limiting principle to this. And it is a cultural and social contagion. And we have to call it out. It's a real problem, and it's extremely dark.
You know, women are
And
taught
if you
to
call it out,
not
I guess
care
too
about anybody
zealously,
else.
people say, oh, you're beating up on those poor girls. Oh, the men need to become worthy. And guys buy into this. They say, we need to become worthy. Become worthy. Crazy. Anyway. And then you know what else they said? This was great. So him and his wife were on Fox and Friends, and the host said, so what do you make Tucker do on Mother's Day? What do you demand from him on Mother's Day? And she goes, there's some parts of our marriage I don't want to talk about. So what do you think that means? What do you think that means? They go to Tucker's wife. They go, what does he do for you on Mother's Day? What do you make him do for you on Mother's Day? And she goes, well, I'm not going to say everything about our marriage. It's like, wow, 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 wow. And that's just the cherry on top, folks. And that's just the cherry on top. You know? Yeah, it's a cold world out there. Better get a coat.
Better get a
It's
coat.
a cold
Well put.
world. Better get a coat. Yeah, she goes, I don't want to say what he does for me on Mother's Day. I have a few guesses. It's what he does with all women on the show. Oh, they're beautiful creatures and they're never at fault. It's the men need to get serious. So stop playing video games, bro. If men stopped playing video games, they would justifiably commit suicides and homicides.
Always Grow Iping sent $20. How do I always know what's about to happen? It's because I listen to the African American of politics. God bless Nick.
Very true.
Terry A. Davis sent $50. How authentic
Very
do you think Europe's
true.
resistance to Washington is, and what do you think Putin is thinking right now?
I'm not sure what any of that means.
Ex-libertarian Grower sent $100. Another AI deepfake of Netanyahu? The schizo right makes me want to join the other side.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah. It's all AI. It's crazy, man. And what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? You think that in a few weeks they're going to say, "Oh, we lied. Netanyahu is dead. We made all that up." He's obviously alive.
Groyper Giant sent $30.
Thank you.
S. Sterling 07 sent $25. First time voter. Voting Democrat. I feel embarrassed I rooted for Trump so heavy in high school. Love you, Nick.
I hear you, man. I hear you, but thank you. I appreciate it.
G36 Public Groyper sent $25. Waiting lobby chat has formed a pack. If you start later than 9:30 p.m. we vote red in midterms. Sorry, Maine Fuhrer.
Okay.
Scott Buchanan sent $20. Something I truly hate about conservatives is their utter cultural nescience. Your takedown of the Pusa halftime show was absolutely spot on. Conservatives do not understand music or art.
Thanks.
Glorb sent $20. Bro, please sell out like Tucker. Most of these donos are rage bait. Saw a tweet. Liberals are trying to turn you into a lil cow.
You don't get it.
I love Faith Merrill.
Oh no, they're turning it. Okay.
I love Faith
Doesn't
Merrill.
get
Groyper
an
sent
award.
$20. Isn't Faith Merrill the greatest? She's the only e-girl for this Groyper. Thanks for always defending her from these rapists, King. Thankfully she's a Catholic now, so we'll be in heaven together. I was worried she was an Arab at first, but she's just Italian. I know my queen is a virgin. She is pure.
Okay.
Wappa Wappa sent
Thank
$25. Would you rather marry a black woman or an Indian woman?
Neither.
Landlord Chad sent $20. CENTCOM called DHS for tips on how to not disclose numbers. No cameras at over. By the way, did you see new WH Ballroom? Milk Groyper sent $20. Downloading some shows off American First Plus for my flight to Poland. Gia hoodie is packed. What countries border Poland?
Bro took the walk to Poland. Let's see. Russia, Belarus, Germany, Ukraine, and Czech Republic. And does Hungary border Poland? Is that it? Did I say Lithuania? Yeah, that's my guess. Let me see. Am I right? But W on downloading the shows. Let me see. Oh, I meant Slovakia, not Hungary. Okay, so I got them all right. Mine, I thought I legit meant Slovakia, not Hungary, because it's Czechoslovakia. Nice, W. W's in the chat. I meant Slovakia. I did. All right. Whatever.
Jaeger00 sent $20. Saluting face emoji. Smirking face emoji.
07s.
Saluting face emoji. Smirking face emoji.
Because I always
saluting face
think in
emoji.
terms of Czechia, Slovakia, and then south of that is Austria-Hungary, because it was Czechoslovakia and Austria-Hungary at one point.
Wang
So,
Slope sent $30.
that's
Trump
real.
asks the Jeff reporter why we weren't warned about Pearl Harbor, and I can't help but laugh and yearn for the good old days.
I don't find it funny anymore. I think it's tasteless.
Abbott Hayes sent $20. The fact that the Jews don't believe the devil rebelled against God but instead operates under God's authority explains a lot.
Don't believe. Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
Cubby1369Y sent $20. Do you have any lifelong friends that have stayed loyal to you since like the sandbox days? Or like grade school? I hope you
Nope.
know how much you are appreciated and admired. God bless you,
Literally.
Nick.
No, none of them. None of them.
All of them.
None. I have no friends from grade school, no friends from middle school. I have 2 friends from high school still. Everybody else, not so much. So, yeah. Well, it is what it is. Honestly, though, it's probably me. I think I'm the common denominator.
ImperiumGarments.com sent $21. Each of my shirts has a theme relating to America. Primacy, preeminence, ascendancy, etc. No eagle, flag, constitution,
Yeah,
Slav.
you're just making it worse. You're just making it sound dumber and dumber. Every super chat you add just makes it sound stupider. Primacy, preeminence, ascendancy. That sounds like the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. It sounds corny and contrived and fucking stupid.
Cheese 67
So,
cent $50. You have
there
said
you
to
go.
vote Democrat, but in my district IL 17, Dylan Vansel is America first, refuses foreign aid to Israel and has taken $0 from IPAC, while D. Eric Sorensen has taken over $1 mil.
Okay, yeah, then vote for him, dumbass. What? It's just like, do you really need me to say that? So you said to vote Democrat, but the guy in my district is base, so what should I do? Do you really? What do you think, dumbass?
Conqueror Aura sent $20. Should a fully grown 36-year-old man drive a 3-door Corsa or should he get a proper car?
I don't know what that
An
is.
appeal to heaven sent $55. No message.
Thank you.
Monadnock Roy percent $20. Finally got my quarter zip. Took the Goyim team long enough to get it to me.
Okay.
Noisy 95 cent $20. IRL advertisements, especially billboards, are actually so obscene and should be replaced with information. And thank you for never selling out shilling chips or pills or even fucking gold on principle.
Yeah, you
Noisy
got it.
95 cent $20. Guys, we are all actually so cooked once sneaker levels up is ging.
Dude, the Sneeko Cole, it's just insane. It's actually crazy. He's just on this generational run of Cole. Let me pull up. What did Sneeko tweet today? What have we been punished with today? Oh, dude, I just found this clip. Clavicular called the cops on a stupid girl who slapped him for no reason. Dude, how could she touch my goat like that, fucking bitch?
Bro.
Hang on. Oh, we gotta pull this up. Look at this.
Fuck you. I had to fucking mute that shit. Playing music. Like, that's so gay.
Talking about. See that came in clutch. This is what I'm talking about. Tucker, you need to watch this stuff.
You should watch.
Tucker, this is your homework, pal. You need to watch this. You need to get outside your echo chamber. Okay, get outside the CIA echo chamber. Look at this. Look at this disgusting void.
Why do you have to be gay like that, Nick? Fucking lame.
Kidding. No violence. We hate violence, but dude, it is. If I ever see her, it is so on site. I'm caping.
She's pretty cute. She's just a bitch, though. You already know she's a bitch. It's just a bitch. You can just see it on her face.
She says women should have the right to vote. No, they shouldn't. She makes that face too. That they, you know how they all make these like exaggerated clown, like facial expressions now.
They do make.
He should have given her an uppercut. I'm kidding.
I'm gonna press charges on you. Hey.
She got that
Hold her here,
golden
call the
hair.
police. Hold her here.
Golden hair.
Yeah. Detain her.
Get the police.
Detain her.
Hey.
Yeah. Detain that. Yes.
Got that sun-kissed hair.
Detain her.
Call the police.
Get her.
Call the police.
Guards, seize her.
Go get the
Seize her.
Can I get a picture with you?
Can I get a picture
Holy
with you?
world.
Police.
Holy shit.
Dude, I hope she gets charged. We need a follow-up on that. I hope she goes to
What a little
jail.
skank.
How could she do that to our goat? Hey, dude, where's Joe? Joe should have dropped her ass. Where's Joe? Joe should have dropped her ass. Where's security? Clav, security. If I were there, it would have went down a little bit differently. I'll say that much. If I was there, it would have went down a little bit differently. I'll just say that much. Where's Joe? Where are those hands? Come on, Joe. I know you're there. Damn. Dude, lock her up.
I'm gonna sue your entire family.
Why the fuck does he have to play this goddamn music? Boy. Nobody else does this shit. They're at least nice enough to mute that shit out.
Your entire family. Dude, he's so tough. Why is he so tough? He's just, that's like his parents are bodybuilders, but that's such like a my dad's a lawyer coded like.
Bro.
That's such an ascended move. I'll sue your entire family.
Yeah.
No cortisol spike.
You got dirt on your knees, bro? Because
it doesn't go to hands.
Sounds.
He goes, I'll sue your entire family. How does he ascended?
I'm gonna press charges.
Who gives a fuck what they say? Like at some party, you know, I don't get it. Why?
Calls the store.
Does anybody really
Get the
care?
police. Hey.
Okay, when is he gonna move on from this? Like, what the fuck? Come on, bro. Or did he just make half a fucking show out of that?
Obviously. All right, but what we're going to look at Sneeko Cole. Dude, I can't lie. I love my boy. Sneeko.
Yeah, you love your boys.
But holy.
For sure.
Let's pull up some of the.
Wow, look, he's wearing a dress. He's wearing pajamas.
Okay. Okay. Okay, bro. Like, bro, come on, bro. Bro, seriously? Bro. bro, pause. Bro, seriously? Bro. Hello? Come on now. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Look at Sneeko's stream. Is he
Yeah,
streaming
I
right
don't
now?
get it either,
Bro.
question. I'm not really into it. Like, do you really have to talk about this stuff, Nick? It's whatever. I just ignore it.
If Benjamin Netanyahu is actually... Here, let me zoom in. If Benjamin Netanyahu is actually dead, he probably is.
That would be
Smudjack.
awesome.
Remember,
That
he
would
will
be
just be
awesome.
replaced by an even more messianic Chabad Lubavitch freak.
True.
Bibi's 40-year plan was achieved. Destroy Palestine, then get the Christian Goyim to go to war with Iran. Get ready for Jared Kushner's Israel. It's just like hodgepodge.
I don't think shit's gonna work out as good. Israel
Protect
or
Joe
as
Ken at
good as
all
they think
costs.
it is.
Okay.
I don't think Israel's. I just don't see it really surviving much longer. I mean, as soon as we can't, or as soon as the petrodollar goes,
The biggest lie we were
Israel's
sold was
gonna go, 'cause
freedom.
we won't
Men
have the
can
money
do
to pay
drugs
for
and
it
women
anymore.
can be naked. Why is it a haiku now? Why are these all like a haiku? Declaring superiority of free Western values just to become slaves to our own desires. Whoa, that's deep. Oh, this was my favorite. How tragic that money is infinite. Printing forever.
That very young.
While more people starve each passing day.
Very thing. Excuse me.
Damn, I'm 15 and this is deep. Now I'm sorry. I hate to roast Sneeko. I hate to roast my boy, but it's like, what are we? Hey, there's me. But the coal has to stop. Please, Sneeko, we're tired. Your defenders, your number one soldier is tired. I'm your number one soldier. I'm tired.
Oh, what is with
Is he still alive?
Always
I guess he is.
your number one soldier. What's with the sycophant shit? Why does he do this? Why are you talking like a fucking sycophant? And you have like 3 different dudes that you do that for.
Yeah, so we're having a little intervention.
Do not
Sneak
get it.
bro. Sneak goat?
Crumblery sent $20. Joe Ken on Tucker. Blazes Trump. Pro-domestic surveillance. Blames domestic terror on Hamas. Pro-Guat. Pushes Osif merchant hoax. Pro-Soleimani attack. Praises Israel other than Iran war.
Yeah, real.
Pat Luva sent $20. If most of Congress is paid for by the Israel lobby, why do you think voting in a Democrat Congress will cause the impeachment of Trump? Won't they keep him in office given he's played into their hand?
Okay, too
Qatari
dumb.
Groy percent $20. Hello Nick. Muslim Qatari here. Ramadan month is officially over. Today is Eid al-Fitr. And so, Eid Mubarak Habibi Nick. Less than 3.
Well, I cannot return the greeting. I'm not a Muslim, but happy Eid for you guys. Enjoy.
Ballard Merck sent $20.
Congrats.
Fact-based Jew critics such as yourself are now being lumped in with Candace and Ian Carroll as crazies on X. You called this.
Yeah, they're calling it the retard,
Rollable
right?
F sent $20. 24F leftist. But I agree with you a lot. I love when you talk about your niche passions without shame. It makes you unique. Who?
Hit me up. Hey. Poor Brawley Ho face
Where Groy percent
situation.
$20.
But hey, good to hear from
Where
you, I
Groy
guess.
percent $20. Nick, please stop living on black time, please. America first means being Robert Maxwell's textbook
Okay.
sent $50.
I don't know why I just
930, huh?
did that.
Do you have a convertible? You're always mentioning driving with the top down. Should I get a Porsche Boxster or do you have any other recommendations? Fully agree with your Martian take.
You like the Martian take? Porsche Boxster? I think Porsches are kind of gay, honestly. They're just kind of like little
Especially
gay girl
Boxsters,
cars.
shit.
I want like a big SUV. I want like a big ass ideally I would drive in a tank. Something like a tank.
I have to give
or a giant
Nick
SUV
some
like
latitude.
like an XL Escalade.
He's allowed to
But
spend 10 minutes.
yeah,
10
I would
minutes
never
of the show.
drive in like a little Porsche.
The Jock Ronson sent $20.
Here's
Pray
what
for
it
those who
is.
persecute you. Pray that you will not be deceived. Pray for the safety of Nicholas Fuentes. Dems for the midterm. Never Vance.
Thanks.
Never Rubio.
He
Thank
could
you
be
very
so
much.
Porsche
worse,
sent
and we'd
$20.
still
Top 3
watch
Mayo
it.
monkeys of all time. Nick J. Fuentes. Adolf Hitler and Drew Brees. Ramirez J sent $20.
Maybe
The
he
Groyper
is
curse
gay,
got
I
to
don't
Vance.
really care,
That shit is
honestly.
real.
I don't mean
Huckleberry
anything to him.
999 sent
I just wish
$20.
he wouldn't
I'm going to stop
fucking
baiting you into my
talk about
retarded
any
comments
of
even
that
if I find it humorous when you lose your cool. Great show, buddy. Keep it up. Neo Moon sent $20. First
Wish he
super chat.
wouldn't be
Boyfriend has watched
blazing
since the
other
YouTube days.
people
He greatly
on his
respects
show.
/ admires you. After watching your content, I do too. Thank you for valuing and fighting for the American
that's
way of life.
crazy. W girlfriend, thank
Crypt
you.
84 cent $100. The European and Indo-Pacific nations could pay for all ship passages through Hormuz and Yuan. Big L for the dollar and America overall. Big W for China. Big ego check to Trump from the world.
Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think at this point in time that's overstated. But
Neo Moon sent
sure.
$20. Your finger is on the pulse of the political dynamics of the world. Revolutionary. Powerful order. I was red-pilled at Biden's State of the Union. You said they give a standing ovation for Israel. No. Circus Lover sent $50.
True,
Circus
very
Lover
true.
sent $50. Can't trust VPN boys. Before Palantir, Kite applications, Netform plus human data applications, 2002 terrorist tracker. Pentagon pitch interrupted, tech grab, $2 million gone greater than IP to Kite. Sent $20. Hi Nick, any thoughts you can share about Tom Tiffany running for governor Wisconsin? It would be a big help. By the way, I stood up for you and our Groyper movement at UW Milwaukee posted today.
I don't really know anything about Tiffany. I think he's okay,
Circus
though.
Lover sent $50. Palantir Origins video viewed 1 mo ago. Timeline for PP Catapult sues. DB recovered this week. Honoring late husband, real patriot.
What are you doing?
Doyle's flaccid penis sent $20. Vote blue no matter who. DS sent $20. Group chat went downhill ever since you banned Grippy. This dog hunts 988 sent $20. Hey Fuentes, 45 yo throwback real sugar OG original Goyim 90s Nazi type nigga here, recent Groyper convert, hallelujah and amen. So what you are saying is, it is the Jews, right? Ha. JK mad props. Staler 3016 sent.
That's crazy, dude.
Staler 3016
That's
sent
crazy.
$20. Please don't overreact, but I don't like that you badmouth my president. He will resume mass deportation after the war. Oil Baron sent $25. Oil is in backwardation. Brent spot is $108 as of today. However, the premium paid for immediate delivery is $140 to $170. Yikes.
Yep.
Drake sent $20. The fact that
It's
they only
bad.
want to deport violent illegals means they're waiting for an innocent American to get hurt or killed before they're deported, and that's if they even catch them.
Yeah.
Scum.
Well said. Good
King
super
Vu sent
chat,
$20.
actually.
Everything now is pure slop. Nothing creative anymore.
Yeah.
I love Nick sent $20.
Including that take.
I love Nick sent $20. Bought a Wang shirt. Love your show, Nick, and Dill Loki run for president for everyone.
Oh, great. Thanks.
DS sent $20.
I
It's normal for
appreciate
new
that.
fags to chat out regularly. They still got that fire in them. You're a veteran now.
Yeah, but I don't want to deal with that, okay? Well, it's normal for them. Okay, but I don't want to deal with that. I'm over that.
Colding sent $20. USA is fire emoji, but can we get a shout out for Denmark?
Sure. Yeah. Shout out to Denmark.
Dumpster Fire Wang
for
sent
sure.
$20. First time chat. You were right about everything. My first vote was for Trump 2024. My second will be for Dems. America first. Scruffles the
Great.
Cat sent $50. On point as always. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Frank Slide sent $20. You're the most vindicated thinker of the decade. Was Trump always this Jewish? Like back in 2015, was it always a sham?
He was based then.
One Hoop 1 sent $30. Always bothers me thinking back to when Texas and border-adjacent Republican governors LOL'd shipping busloads of illegals to sanctuary cities where they certainly would not be deported. Big lols.
Yeah, right. Now we can't get rid of him.
Nick's
That is
Missing
funny.
Ribs sent $20. I'd rather get food than visit cathedrals. You can't do both, fatty.
Well
You like
said.
architecture and you're Catholic, right?
Oh,
W
there it
slash
is.
love.
And there it is.
It's true. They did ship
And
them to the places.
What do you
that we
mean you don't
can't
want to
get
look
rid
at
of
all the
them.
cathedrals?
Jesus. Self-own.
Oh, and there it is. Found the chud. Found the chud. What do you mean you don't want to look at cathedrals? What do you mean? That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Tired sent $100.
Very good.
First time donation. STEM
Found the
teacher.
chud.
It's over. The grandkids of the boomer generation aren't interested in competing against the Indians, Chinese,
Yeah,
Russians,
they pulled
and
that
Jews for
shit with
specialized
years
STEM
ago.
positions. Instead, they compete against the Mexicans and Guatemalans for trade
Dickheads.
jobs. Yes, you chat. Fuck you.
Thank you for the big super chat. Sure
Total Necron Death
thing.
Grower percent $200. Thanks for the free show, man. It is getting pretty scary how quickly Jews are destroying their goodwill with tons of whites and how comparatively little they seem to care about it. They're betting the farm that they'll win.
Scary for who? Thank you for the big super chat, though. Yeah, I don't, I'm a little afraid because it's very ominous, but I'm not afraid about the
Vincent Boogaloo
backlash.
sent $20. BB, but Donnie said on the campaign trail he would send them all back. You were right, Nick. You were right about everything.
I know.
Missile 24 sent $50. Nick the GOAT. Any thoughts on the OK Senator and Rand Paul beefing at conference hearing? Chud v Chud.
I didn't see that.
Logan Douchebag sent $20. Love your message and what you stand for. I quit smoking goynep because of you and started going to mass and I'm going to go through. See you next fall.
What do you mean smoking goynep? I don't know what that is, but yeah, I'm glad. Don't
Siswell
smoke.
sent $20. Clap said to get rid of this ginger beard for a reason.
You don't like the
There he is,
beard?
bitch. Sent $50. People complain about the admin, but you're the only one with a cohesive plan to stop them. Maybe get into STEM instead of trying to convince these retards on here though. You're doing great, man. Brian sent $20. I don't know about you, but I'm pro good guy and anti bad guy.
Yeah, me
I could
too.
be your grandma sent $25. I love the idea of my daughters and granddaughters being stabbed in the neck on the bus. I love the idea of blowing Iran into oblivion. I love paying my taxes to ensure all of these things and more. Who needs a damned wall? In fact, why not build the third temple in NYC? Trump 2028.
Wow, so true,
Suicide-
Queen. So true.
Suicide Bee Immigration sent $20. Military industrial complex and oil giants support and benefit from war. $200 million gets added to $40 trillion debt. War is money laundering from taxpayer to the military/elite. The corruption is unstoppable. Jay Dyer sent $20. Great show tonight.
Is that the real Jay Dyer? Or is that the fake Jay Dyer? Interesting.
Sabel sent $20.
Interesting.
Iran has
Thank
just struck 2
you.
refineries in Kuwait since your show started. The escalation keeps going. Love the coverage. God bless.
You got
Scoopy
it.
Whoopity sent $20. I know I'm a retard, to be clear, but why can't we just pull out at this point and take the hit on oil? No other adversarial countries can sell us oil? Why not save the $200 million and take the L?
Because if first of all, there's no guarantee Iran will even accept a ceasefire at this point. There's no guarantee. Why would they? Because one, if we leave, let's say we get a ceasefire,
They're thinking we'll just come
then
back.
the Iranian regime claims victory. They say, look, the U.S. and Israel threw
Then our
everything they had
contracts
at us,
don't mean shit anymore.
and we survived. The regime remains intact.
America
we survived.
can't protect you.
And, what are the
That's it.
implications of this? The implications are that the U.S. lost. The
what we
regime is powerful enough to protect its people from the U.S. and Israel. So the regime actually grows stronger in the eyes of the people.
Yep.
And actually maybe is less likely to topple after the war. It rallies people around the regime, which is something the U.S. doesn't want. Once people rally around the regime, they immediately start rebuilding their capabilities. Everything that we did threatens to be undone. We leave, and then they build all their missiles back. They start rapidly, just as they did last year. They start building
There's
up their
nothing we
missile
can
and drone
do.
arsenal again. And
They're
they've
gonna
also
have
learned
what
how
they
we
wanna
fight
have.
wars.
We may
So
as well
they're
just let 'em
going
have a
to they're going to adapt for the next conflict.
can't
So maybe
stop
that's
them.
more drones. Maybe
We
that's
have to kill
more
them all.
ballistic missiles. Whatever. They've learned new tactics. They know how the U.S. and Israel are going to attack. They know how we're going to play.
And
So they're basically going to undo what we did. They're going to refortify, rebuild,
absolutely
get more
whipping
drones,
our
get more
ass
missiles, and then we're sort of
strategically.
back in the same
They
place that
know
we
how
were
to beat
before.
us.
Also, the implications of it
And
are
they
that
have
Iran has
leverage.
veto power over global energy. We went to war with them.
That
They
Strait of
shut down
Hormuz is
global
the ultimate
energy.
veto.
It
Ultimate
was at their
heckler's
discretion
veto.
who got oil and natural gas and who didn't.
Like they don't even need
And so
a
now the
fucking
whole
nuke.
world knows don't fuck with Iran because they then can tie up the entire global economy.
They can make everybody hurt
and
like crazy.
that's a level of power that the United States doesn't want to cede to
We don't
Iran.
even
We don't
have
want
that
them
kind
to
of
think it's
power,
effective.
really.
We don't want them to be emboldened and think they have all the cards. We don't want them to
Now
think
that they have it.
the people in Iran to think that their government is unbeatable. So that's a big part of why.
The Chinese-
And inevitably, we're going to go back anyway.
I mean, are you really that arrogant to think that we give out world primacy? It does, that our opinion actually matters when it comes to who is the top dog? We aren't even a factor.
So let's say there's a ceasefire. The Iranian regime
Our opinion
earns
doesn't
credibility
matter.
from the people. They're victorious. Strategic victory. They build back their missiles and drones. Well, now they're never going to make a deal. How are they going to make a
Why
deal
would
with the
they?
United
They
States
don't
when we
need
keep
to.
bombing them and breaking our promises and rug pulling them? So now the hardliners are in power. They don't trust the United States. They're weaker, but they're angrier. And what that means is that we're just going to have to go in at a later time. If we can't make a deal with Iran, we're going to have to assume that they're rebuilding all their capabilities. They have this ability to close off the Strait of Hormuz, which is now an existential threat to us and the Gulf and Asia, Europe, Israel. So all it does is just defer the inevitable. We're going to have to go back. It's just that when we go back, they're going to have more capabilities.
And we'll be weaker.
They're going to have
more
learned
in
from
debt.
this, and they're going to have more stuff than they
We're
did
only
when
getting
we started.
weaker as time goes on.
And they're going to retain the ability to close the strait all over again. So that's why they don't want to leave. That's why they want to finish it. And by finish it, I mean they want to have a decisive victory. Either the regime is toppled or Iran is not able to dictate the terms of the strait. At this point, it's really more about who gets to end it on their terms. You know, we can't let them end it on their terms like, oh, they made the economy so bad that we weren't able to continue in the war, because then the message goes out, the U.S. is a paper tiger.
Yep.
We used up all interceptors. We hit Iran with everything we had. And in the end, they hit
We're
us
not
where
that
it hurt
tough.
for us, which is oil, and we were forced to back down. And they don't want everybody to then look at the Iranian drone industry and say that's the best protection against the United States.
Yeah.
Dat Boyle Annie TT sent $20. Is it wrong to put my dog in a kippa and call him Bark Levin when he acts up? Northern Koi 211 sent $20. You're the GOAT. No one can do it better.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
John
it.
Sanders 00 sent $20. Can you compare NYC versus London life quality as a hardline Catholic with big dollar? London seems pure / greater W real money. NYC has the gunslinging American culture / values, but both are similar such hubs.
What kind of question is
Leper
that?
King Roy % $20. Max Blumenthal on.
Why would you even ask me that? I've never lived in London. I've never lived in New York City. I spent very little time in New York. I've spent even less time in London. So what do you even talk? Why would you ask me, dumbass? Why don't you Google it? Why don't you ask ChatGPT?
Leper King Roy %.
Really? As a hardline Catholic, what does that even mean?
Leper King Roy % $20. Max Blumenthal on Judge today was trying to distance himself from
gosh.
Dugan. Claimed he never spoke at the 2050 conference. Seuss.
Interesting.
D8 Gale Slave Gripe % $20. So Trump is basically modern day Reagan? Was a little guy first outsider who flipped for the institutions and ruins it all.
Not really.
2000 Kid sent $25. God bless you, Nick. Your voice and truth in 2026 is needed now more than ever. Who was right, Anakin or the Jedi Council?
Oh, I don't know.
Alim Sunshine 54 sent $100. Larry Loomer confirmed the best Groiper.
Thank you for the big super chat. Why is she the best Groiper? I don't get
Denrio
it.
sent $20. 2 tens from Denrio. We're all voting for destroyers. No excuses.
So true.
America First 1776 sent $20. Remember your interview with Tommy G when he said, I think once you discover how magical women are, that just dominates. I couldn't believe that. Your response was 100% true, saying Tucker is the
That
same.
was crazy. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'll find the right woman. Maybe I'll find the right woman and she'll just be so magical that it'll just blow me away, right? Who knows? You don't know until you tried. Maybe I'll just find the most magical woman of all time and she is just gonna
It's a possibility.
totally rock my little world.
I'm gonna want to stop
And I'll
blowing,
feel like
sucking
that,
dick.
right?
That's what he's
He
really
goes, you
saying.
just don't get it. You don't get it. You've never been in love. You don't know how magical women are. Yeah, maybe it'll happen for me. Do you think that's possible? Sometimes I wonder, am I cynical or is he naive? Is he naive or am I cynical? Sometimes I wonder. I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
That's
and I
for
think
sure.
he's naive. You know, he tells me, he goes, you know, I like to go out into nature and like smoke pot. And my girl is magical. And I just like cooking with my girl. And then I smoke weed in the woods.
I just like blowing other
And
guys.
I'm like, yeah, we are completely different people. Like we're completely different.
Obviously.
I don't know though. Maybe that's just a simple life. Maybe that's a different way to live.
Mm.
But I don't know that I would ever be
One could say
happy with that. I don't know. I don't see it. But who knows? Maybe it's a me problem. Maybe I have a
Bro
problem.
Hyper Batman sent $20. Feminism is Judaism for the Foids. Cody Fisher 1XP sent $20. Tucker could never imagine, brother. You're 10,000% speaking facts. Christ is king.
True.
Aaron
thanks.
sent $20. Did you see Tucker interview with Glenn Greenwald? Tucker said, I just want to apologize for not understanding that students were being punished for speaking out against Israel.
I didn't catch
Seating
that.
Normie
no.
sent $20. Literally hot off the press as you read it online. Stop using the word literally wrong. Mad face bombing emoji. Illiterate retard. Revolutionary Frog sent $20.
It's called an idiom, stupid.
Revolutionary Frog sent $20. To people who say don't black pill, I know a guy whose high school girlfriend aborted his kid because she wanted to try other guys. Fuck women.
Yep.
Fuck them, for sure.
Yeah, that kind of stuff happens, man. That kind of stuff happens all the time.
wish
Joe
more
Book Knight
guys
sent
would fuck
$20.
women.
You're the only one I know that's showing a path towards getting us out of the mess are now, and as a nation the traditional options are basically the same, but one is slower, so a toss of the dice it is.
Roll the dice.
Jimbo sent $20.
Yep.
I love how I'm asking what is porn? Was fishing for some retarded chud answer like a succubus on other side eating IT.
Yeah. That's funny.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
It's demonic. It's the demons. The demons attacked me. The demons attacked. Yeah. Some based answer. He thinks, and you know, demons are probably behind pornography, but he was probably fishing for something
Grand
like
Lamb
that.
sent $20. You sold me on voting Dem for House. Seems like Senate 2 might be helpful. Thomas Massey, a good boycott vote for 2028?
We're not boycotting it.
Anyway, yeah, the show finally ended. That's it for tonight, guys. It's getting kind of late. I'll do, of course, I'm gonna do this evening, Friday evening. I might do one this afternoon, but hope you all enjoyed the show. You know, hope you have a good, lovely beginning to your day, and till tomorrow. God bless and good morning.